And we're live.
All right, welcome everybody. We have a very special night and a full house here this evening as we welcome Mr. McCormick's grade 4-5 class from Resurrection School. So I'll now call this meeting of the Committee of the Whole Operations to order, and I'd ask that everybody rise as you're able for the reading of the invocation. As we come together today, we recognize the great responsibilities laid upon us. Our council will always strive to understand the needs of the people we serve and to use power wisely and well. Our purpose is to establish and maintain a city of prosperity and righteousness where freedom prevails and where justice rules. We acknowledge the rich history of this land. Today, there are many First Nations people who live or work in our city. The intent of this acknowledgement is to recognize our responsibility to use and take care of these lands responsibly and respectfully, while remembering the generations past and considering the generations yet to come. We respect and seek to continue and promote the longstanding relationship with this area's First Nations people who reside within the city of Brantford. Let us also not forget those who served our community and who are no longer with us so that we can continue to do the work we must in their memory. Clerk, can you confirm that the roll call has been taken?
Through the chair, roll has been taken.
Perfect. Members of the committee, are there any declarations of conflict of interest for any items appearing on the agenda? Seeing none. At this time, I'll ask members of the committee what items they would like separated for discussion purposes, noting that item 6.1.6 is automatically separated as we have delegations. Councillor Carpenter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 6.11, 6.1.3, 6.1.4, please. Thank you.
Anyone else? And Mayor Davis.
6.2.1.
That's the drinking water. Anyone else? All right, seeing none. Councillor Hunt, I believe you have the motion to approve all items for consideration and consent.
I do. So moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Carpenter, that all items for consideration consent 6.1 and 6.2 not separated for discussion purposes be approved.
Madam Clerk, if you would read the title of all the items we're voting on.
The items subject to the vote are as follows. Item 6.1.2, recyclables collection from non-eligible locations. Item 6.1.5, lawn bowling at the Walter Gretzky Municipal Golf Course. Item 6.1.7, environmental sustainability and policy advisory committee report. Item 6.1.8, Southwest Community Center and park naming. And item 6.2.2, the minutes. All items not separated for consideration and consent carry and record a vote of 11-0. Those voting in favor: Councillor Sullivan, Sokoli, Sless, Caputo, McCreary, Martin, Carpenter, Hunt, Samwell, Van Tilburg, and Mayor Davis.
Thank you for that. Now, members of the committee, we have 6 registered delegations for this evening. But prior to hearing those delegations, I understand, Councillor McCreary, that you have a motion to waive the rules to allow extending that speaking opportunity to one of our delegates, which is, of course, the 4-5 class at Resurrection.
Madam Chair, thank you very much. I wonder if I could have the clerk put that on the screen so I don't overlook any part of this. It's moved by me and it's seconded by Councillor Martin. The section 15.6.2 of the procedure bylaw be waived in order to provide the student delegations from Resurrection School up to 60 minutes in total to speak and answer questions from the committee. And let me just offer by way of explanation. We may not take that long, but I'd like presentations to be continuous so we don't need to interrupt at a later point during the process to have a vote to extend the time, Madam Chair.
Understood. If this passes, each little human will have about 3 minutes to address council. So any other speakers? We'll call the vote.
The motion to waive the rules carries on a recorded vote of 11-0. Those voting in favor, Councillor Sullivan, Sokoli, Sless, Carpenter, McCreary, Martin, Caputo, Hunt, Samwell, Van Tilburg, and Mayor Davis.
So now the fun part, we're going to read all the rules before we get into our presentation and delegations. So no person in here shall display any signs or banners in the meeting other than the materials that you brought as that are, in the opinion of me, legitimate aids to your presentation. All persons shall be very polite and use respectful language, and you'll refrain from using any bad words or making any gesture that might be disrespectful or offensive. All persons addressing council will speak only on the subject that we're speaking to this evening. No person shall applaud the participants in the debate or engage in conversation. So with that being said, we are going to begin with the student representatives from Resurrection Elementary School. So Mr. McCormick, I believe you're going to get us organized here. Oh, you just need to push the button. When it lights up red, you're live and ready to.
There we go. Good evening, Mayor Davis, councilors, and community members. My name is Mason McCormick, and I have the absolute joy of teaching an incredible group of grade 4 and 5 students at Resurrection School. Before I turn things over to the 15 young but mighty delegates, I wanted to take a moment to celebrate the heart and hard work behind what you're about to hear. As part of our social studies inquiry into how citizens and governments share responsibility for building better communities, my students were challenged to identify a real-life issue here in Brantford, something that they felt needed change. After a lot of debate and research and some really fierce research conversations, they agreed that our neighborhood playgrounds need lights, not for decoration, but for safety, for accessibility, and for community well-being. What followed was months of authentic learning, designing and distributing surveys, analyzing data, writing persuasive letters to City Council, and hosting the wonderful Ward 3 councilors. Thank you, Councillor McCreary, and thank Councillor Martin for visiting our class and answering our endless questions and taking these young voices very seriously. The result, the kids learn not just about government, but about their role in it. They discovered that civic engagement isn't something you wait until you're grown up to try. It's something you start doing before bedtime, preferably right after a snack. Tonight, you'll hear their voices full of conviction, creativity, and care for their city. You'll hear from students who now know that making change doesn't require permission, just participation. And as their teacher, I couldn't be more proud to say they did all of this themselves. This is their work, their advocacy, their belief in Brantford and their neighborhood communities. They'll be tearing at your heartstrings. They'll be a little bit spicy, and some of them will be very excited about being here. So please sit back and smile and maybe even scribble down a few future campaign slogans. The next 15 voices are the reason I love my job, and they might just convince you to light up more than just our parts. Thank you. I'm going to introduce Emmett Pettifer. Other button.
Hello, Mayor Davis and City Councilors. My name is Emmett Pettifer, and I'm speaking to you tonight as a concerned citizen. As you may recall, my classmates and I are trying to convince you to help us solve this conundrum. In other words, we want you to take our side and put lights in our park. But in order for you to take our side, I will give you 3 reasons why. Number 1, picture this. A cold day in the fall, boys are asking their mom repeatedly to go to the park, but their mom says the same thing every time. No, it's too dark, you might slip or fall. Therefore, the boys go to bed sad and full of energy because they couldn't burn off at the unlit park. Secondly is physical health. This is a problem because people won't get the exercise and may eventually stop moving altogether. They won't see the point of going to the park if they have to go home the second they arrive, just because it's too dark for anyone to play, climb, and have fun at Cameron Heights Park. Thirdly is mental health. Our bodies gain social skills as we grow. And these are very important throughout our lives. If we can't go to the park in the winter months, we might lose our social skills and forget how to interact with our friends. This can make it harder to get a job when we're older and might end up living in our parents' basement, playing video games for a living. So if you really care about your city, then please install lights in Cameron Heights and Cedarland Park. Our unused energy, physical, and mental health will forever be indebted to you.
Our next delegation is Emmy Miyako.
Hello, my name is Emmy Miyako, and the grade 4-5 class is here to talk about lights in Cameron Heights Park and Cedarland Park. And thank you so much for having us. It's more important than you might think. If we don't have lights, our mental health will suffer and people might get sick. And where will we go if the hospitals are already full? It's so sad to see kids playing video games all day. If we don't have lights, kids will become depressed, and if you're depressed, you can also develop social anxiety. Trust me, when COVID hit, I was scared to go back to school. And without lights, we'll also stop moving, and that can lead to obesity, and that's not okay. Parents will try to make us exercise, but we won't want to, or we might not even be able to. And sadly, some kids might lose their friends because of how they look. No one wants that. If you install lights, not just for us, but for the whole community, it will make kids feel happy, excited, and give us a chance to get all of our energy out. For parents, it's a win-win situation. Thanks again for listening.
Our next delegation is Bayola Ojo.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Bayola, and thank you for the opportunity to speak about something that really matters, lights in our park. I don't mean to brag, but we have some really good reasons why we need lights in our park. Firstly, mental health. Do you know how many hours, days, months, years kids spend inside rotting their brains out? It's literally destroying and setting the future generations up for failure. Who's going to become the next prime minister if the rotting continues? And by they, I mean us. We're going to school learning nothing because our minds are on phones, tablets, etc. When we could be outside during the winter in our winter jackets, ice skating, but how would we do that when there's no lights? Huh? How would you feel if you went to the park and there's literally no lights and you were trying to ice skate? You will feel disappointed. So please just add lights. Next, physical health. Do you know how many kids lost 3% of their vision playing video games? Oh, how do I know? My best friend lost most of her vision. This is a true story, by the way. Now she has to wear glasses, all because of this. You may be thinking, how's it all for? Because you didn't add lights in our park. For crying out loud, there are so many illnesses, troubles, and things kids will go through if you don't add lights in our park. Firstly, obesity. Secondly, maybe pink eye. Who knows? There could be an unknown disease that causes kids to become couch potatoes. Yes, we're still on the couch potatoes. And this brings me to my last and final reason, safety. Okay, just imagine you're a small little 11-year-old girl going to the park when it's pitch dark at 5 p.m. And a creep is watching you. You would want to see who it was, right? Then you would call your mom, call your dad, confront the creep. How would you do that when there's no lights? So please, unless you don't want the future president to be an unemployed gamer, just consider adding lights in our park. Thank you.
I told you we were getting spicy. All right, my next delegation is Catherine Dixon.
Hello, City Councilors and Mayor. My name is Catherine Dixon. As you might have heard from my fellow classmates and friends, I am here for a reason. My reason is park lights, specifically in Cameron Heights Park and Cedarland Park. I ask kindly for my kind-hearted self. We really need them. Let me explain. In the winter, it gets dark so early, but it's still fun outside. We could be socializing with our friends. Like, who doesn't want us to do that? Would you really rather have us stuck inside playing brain rot video games? They're terrible for us. I know so many people who are glued to their screens. My second reason is we will become couch potatoes. One time I came home from school and wanted to go outside and play at the park with my friends, but it was too dark, so I sat on the couch and binge watched my favorite TV show and ate candy and chips for 3 hours. Then when my mom and dad came home, they wanted me to go exercise, but I was too tired to get up, so I fell asleep. Do you really want all kids to end up like that? Do you? My third reason is socializing. We'll be stuck inside with no social interaction. No one will want to be our friend because we never go outside. It'll feel like COVID all over again, where we couldn't socialize, couldn't see anyone. Then we'll start to feel depressed and really sad because we won't have friends. We'll be too used to staying inside, too scared to go out, not because of virus, because it's too dark to be safe. Would you really want kids to feel that way every single night during the winter? We need to get out into the world. So that brings me to the end of my speech. Please, please, please put lights in our park. For my kind-hearted self, thank you for allowing me to speak today. It was an honor to be here. Goodbye and have a good night.
My next delegation is Isabel Trotta.
Greetings. Thank you for having me tonight. Hello, I am Isabel Trotta, and I'm here today to talk about why we need lights in Cedarland and Cameron Heights Park. Well, let's say you are home alone a lot and it's dark outside, but you want to go to the park, but you cannot, right? That's why a lot of people develop depression, being stuck at home all the time. This also causes mental health issues. Our grade 4-5 class just doesn't want us to be safe. We want our whole community to be safe. Thank you, City Council and Mr. Mayor Davis. Have a good afternoon.
And our next delegation is Titus Chan.
Hello, City Councilors and Mayor Davis. My name is Titus, and I'm one of the students who are petitioning for lights in Cameron Heights Park. And we have many reasons, and not just for us, but for all the people in our community. One of our reasons is our physical health, and it is good for that because we're exercising, climbing, and playing around with our friends. Another reason is that we're socializing with our friends and playing with them, and sometimes we might make new friends that we'll play with. My third and final reason is safety. It is important for kids to be able to see what's coming, especially right now because there are lots of coyotes right now. So we want to be able to see if anything or anyone is coming. I hope you think about your people, and overall I respect your decision. Thank you for having us here today, and I hope you can get us these lights in our park. Thank you.
Our next delegation is Holly Southam.
Good evening, Mayor Kevin Davis and City Council members. Thank you for having me here today. My name is Holly Southam, and I'm here to talk about getting lights in our parks, Cameron Heights and Cedarland. So why do we need lights in our public parks? We need them for many reasons, some of which include kids' mental health and physical health, a better sense of community among our friends, and allowing more safe places for kids who might not always have one at home. If kids aren't playing outside with their friends, then they will be inside, being alone and inactive, which we already saw happen during COVID-19 lockdowns. This can lead to obesity and social anxiety, which will make it even harder to go outside with their friends and play. Early spring and late fall, it is a lot more likely kids could end up staying out until after it's dark. Between frequent coyote sightings in the area to vandalism and other criminal behaviors of adults, a lot can happen in the dark. Who is to blame if proper precautions aren't put in place by the city? Our parents do their best to keep us safe, but it is up to our government as well. Whether it's a coyote or a dangerous adult, increased lighting can help prevent bad things from happening. Many children feel safe around their friends, and the local park is a place they can go to have fun and let loose from whatever might be waiting for them at home. So please take all of this into consideration when you think of a kid just like me playing on the monkey bars or kicking a soccer ball around. As it starts getting dark outside, kids in this community should have more protection, and that protection is more lighting. It can make a difference for us. Thank you for your time to talk about getting lights in our parks, and please consider what I have said today before making your decision.
Our next delegation is Xavier Dreyer.
Good evening, City Council and Mayor Kevin Davis. My name is Xavier Dreyer. Thank you for having us and giving us a chance to speak. We come here today to respectfully ask for lights at Cameron Heights and Cedarland Park. The first reason we need lights at our park is to improve our mental health. During COVID-19, we could not go anywhere and we were isolated. Kids couldn't play at the park together. It affected our mental health, making us sad and lonely. We learned from COVID the importance of playing outside and being together with our friends.
With new appreciation for being outside of parks, we want to be out there longer. Lights in our park will help dearly with our mental well-being. Another reason we need lights in our park is our physical health. Monkey bars and climbing frames help our bodies get strong. Some kids can't build those muscles because it is too dark in the fall and winter when their parents get home to go to the park. Lastly, we need lights in the park to bring families together in our community. When moms and dads come home later in the day, there's no time to play with their children. Make the right vote tonight. Thank you for your time.
Our next delegation is Phoenix Fisher Hool.
Hi, I'm Phoenix Fisher Wool, and I'm here today to talk about our park. We need lights at our parks. We need these lights for our mental and physical health. Allowing us to have lights will let us spend more time at the park outside, which will help with depression. We will be able to spend more time physically at the park instead of rotting in bed playing video games or being on social media. Having lights at the park will help us make more friends because we'll have more time to spend there. When it's dark outside, having more friends will make us happier. And another thing, wild animals like to hang out in dark areas. The lights will make it so the animals won't want to hang out with me. Having lights will also make it safer from kidnappers. Kids will feel safer being at the park when there are lights and it's not very dark. Having lights at the park will also help make sure kids aren't hanging out there and vandalizing the playground or destroying it. These are all the reasons why I think we should have lights installed at the park. Thank you.
Our next delegation is Aurora McNiven.
Good evening, Mayor Davis and council members. It's nice to meet you all. My name is Aurora McNiven, and I think we need lights at our parks. Why? Kids like us want to play, but it gets too dark too fast. Do you want us getting sick, eating chips, and playing video games inside? Everyone will feel depressed. The world will feel black and dark. Do you want the hospitals to be full of sick kids? The park is fun, but I don't feel safe in the dark. What if someone comes to take me? I can't see them in the dark. We also have lots of different scary animals like coyotes, and I don't want to get bit. Do you want us to get bit or stolen? Do you want us to have no friends? I like playing with new friends, but I can't when it gets too dark too fast. It would be fun to make new friends. This is why we need lights at our park. We'll have fun, be safe, and live better. Thank you for your time tonight. That was short.
Our next delegation is Molly Daly.
Hi, City Councilors and Mayor Davis. My name is Molly May Daly. Me and my class went to Cedar Land Park, and there were only lights in the basketball court. And that can't light up the whole park. And that isn't good, because no one wants to go to the park when it is dark. It is not good for your health. Kids will stay inside on their devices or just staying inside. And another reason why we need lights in the park is more people will be more confident to bike, walk, or play when there are lights in the park. We will feel safe. We want to go to the park and socialize and make new friends, but we can't when there are no lights in the park. It is safer when there are lights in the park, but when there are no lights in the park, we can fall and get hurt. So put lights in the park if you don't want hospitals to be full of kids and adults that are hurt and sick because of staying inside and I suggest you should put lights in the park. Thank you for your time.
Our next delegation is Mason Catswell.
Dear counselors and Mayor Kevin Davis, my name is Mason and I'm here from Mr. McCormick's class to talk about the lights and why we should have them. First of all, our mental health. When it gets really dark in the winter really fast, we can't go to the park. Reason two is that once I wanted to ask my mom to go to the park, But when we looked outside, it was pitch black, so I never went that night. My third reason is people get depressed and lonely, and it's boring and sad. These are the reasons why I think we should have lights. Thank you for your time.
Our next delegation is Sarah Sebi.
Hello, counselors. I'm Sarah Sebi from the 4-5 classroom at Resurrection School. Today, I'm asking for something that would benefit all of us, including you, and that is getting lights for our dark and lonely parks after night. So, if you don't vote for us, then doesn't that mean you don't want us to be athletic kids, to have fun, get exercise, and hang out with our friends, and also make Brantford proud? Additionally, if we have more lights in our parks, then adults will benefit from it too. Some of you may be asking, what is the big deal of putting lights in the park? And I'm telling you, yeah, it is a big deal, and I'll tell you why. Firstly, you could socialize with others. Okay, yeah, I know some people don't like socializing, but another option could be to ride your bikes or go on walks. There are so many ways to do anything without socializing. I mean, I'm pretty sure Mr. McCormick likes going on walks or riding his bike, especially with his family. I was very sure before this meeting, at least some of you like going on walks, and it doesn't have to be walks. It could basically be anything else. It could be riding your bike, jogging, or maybe even running. Now, many of you see how children and adults benefit from lights in the parks. Also, how can you say no to us, if you know what I mean? So I'm asking you all of you here with us, if we could pretty please, with the cherry and extra fluff on top, get lights in our park. Thank you for your time.
How can you not with cherry and fluff on top? All right, my next delegation is Damian Napi.
Good evening to the city councilors. My name is Damian Napi, and we need lights in our parks. Do you want us to be sick and sitting at home all day? Do you want us to not have fun? Do you want us to play video games all day at home, isolated? Do you want us to be stress eating and become obese? Do you want us to become insane and or depressed? These are the reasons why we need lights in our parks.
Our next delegation is Cohen Hall.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Cohen. I'm here to tell you why we need lights in city parks. First, if we don't have lights in our parks, in the winter it gets dark at like 5 o'clock. So kids stay inside, get sick, get depressed, and can't make any friends. One time I wanted to go to the park, but my dad said no because without lights it is too dark and I might get kidnapped. Without lights in our parks, if we're playing late at night, it's harder to see holes or things to trip over that might hurt us. You also can't see coyotes hiding in the bushes. Thank you for giving us your time and attention to have us here tonight.
That's everyone. Thank
Was
you.
this, well, we might have some questions for you, Mr. McCurry. We would like to see some delegations. I'm gonna pick on some if that's okay. So we do have a few counselors that have some questions. So up first, I have Counselor Sullivan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You're doing a great job. First and foremost, how on earth did you manage to get such an awesome and remarkable group of children as your students? You brought forth a compelling argument. You were humorous. You kept the attention of this council, and I want to applaud you for standing up for what you guys actually believe in. Thank you.
Up next, I have Counselor Caputo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to see if we can waive the rules just to give applause to these wonderful children here tonight. Can we do that?
I'll allow it.
Perfect. That was absolutely remarkable. I do have a question. I think it was intended to, was it Ethan who went first? Is that his name? Emmett? Was it your intent to mock the entire Gen Z and millennials? Were you?
No,
Because that was absolutely outstanding, son.
Okay.
So, and you're welcome at my house anytime. I have a 22 and a 25-year-old that need to go out and play instead of staying at home. So thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate it. And thank you for being here.
And Counselor McCreary, we have you.
Chair, thank you very much, and thank you for your indulgence. I would like to direct my question to Xavier. I wonder if you could tell me who, in your opinion, is the best teacher in Brantford?
Mr. McCormick.
Thank you for that.
Good answer. Counselor Carpenter next.
Thank you. Wonderful job. And you know, you improved, you gave a boost to our mental health today as members of council and politicians. So I noticed in the park, this park has, you have access to Trillium Way, North Park Street, Blackfriar Lane. So there's all kinds of access points to the park. Do you all enter the park from different directions?
Well, we live in different places around the park, so we enter the park at many different places, depending on where we live.
So when we talk about wanting lights in the park, we want lights throughout those pathways that connect the streets. You want to be able to have them lit just as well lit as the sidewalk is lit currently, right? Is that what we're looking for?
Yes.
They want lights directly in the park so that they can play in the playground. So we talked about how this all came up in about November when it was getting dark very early, but with our late winters, there's no snow in the park and no reason why they shouldn't be able to go out and play, but it's dark at 5 or 6 o'clock. And so that was when this sort of came to light, and then we're moving to persuasive letters to city council and eventually to here. It's not as big of a problem right now with it being light of dark, but we're really hoping for the fall.
So lit around the playground area and then lit access to get there, right?
The access as well would be
Thank you.
great.
Thank you for coming. And you can do this anytime.
Up next, we have Counselor Samwell.
Thank you. So first, I want to say that I was very impressed with all of the delegations tonight. You've given me hope for our city with such engaged future leaders. So the question that I wanted to ask was, if you were speaking to another student in another class or another school, what would you tell them about getting involved?
So that microphone.
I would tell them that it doesn't matter your age, how old you are, whether you're Chinese or you're Nigerian or you're from a different culture, you always need to get involved, no matter if you're 21, 22, 50, 40, 80. You always need to get involved to help your community.
Thank you so much for your answer. That's wonderful.
Excellent answer. We have Counselor John Sless, who's going to be on the TV screen up there talking to you. You're muted, Counselor Sless.
I was going to use sign language. Firstly, I'd like to congratulate the teacher, Mr. McCormick. You've certainly gone above and beyond in guiding the class through this exercise and showing them really how democracy works and how government works. So congratulations and thanks for taking the time to do that. Your students will be much richer for it. I would also like to thank the presenters. Every one of you did a great job, and it's not easy to do in a strange room in front of strange people with TV cameras on you. And you came through very, very well, and you carried yourself well. Your parents should be very, very proud of what you did this evening. And lastly, I would just comment that I think we probably heard from a few future counselors this evening. There was some people that they all did well. Some did exceptionally well. And I think we might hear from those folks just a little later on in their journey in life. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. I don't see anyone else left in line to ask questions, so we can all have a seat now. Now, we do have a few other delegates that we need to hear from tonight. There's 5 others, but what we're going to do is move this item to the top of the agenda. So after we hear from the 5 delegates, then we're going to discuss this resolution and see if all of your hard work has paid off for you tonight. But I need you to sit pretty for 5 more delegations. So parents, if you do have to get home, this might be a time where we step out, but I invite you to stay and see the results of the vote there. So we're going to move forward into our other delegations, as I stated. Up next, I'm going to invite Chad Martin and Rachel Kruger from the Brantford Station Neighborhood Association. You can have a seat. When you just push the button and when the microphone lights up red, you're live and ready to go. I'll remind you, you have 10 minutes and that's inclusive of questions from us up here. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much, Madam Chair, Mr. Mayor, and councillors. My name is Chad Martin. I'm the chair of the Brantford Station Neighborhood Association. Rachel Kruger, who was also going to join me up here, she's sitting in the back. Instead, I brought Randy Lynn Janik from the West Brant Neighborhood Association. I'm here to speak on behalf of both of us. As you've seen within the report, our 2 neighborhoods, both in Wards 1 and Wards 2, respectively, have been recommended to become the next hub neighborhoods. This is an honor that we have both been working incredibly hard to achieve. We do not intend to rest on our laurels once we become hubs. Each of you in front of me have offered your abilities to better our community, and so have all of these people behind me. As active participants in neighborhood associations from across the city, we here are only a minuscule fraction of the people within Brantford that benefit from the efforts and countless hours of neighborhood volunteers. Within the past year, West Brant and Brantford Station neighborhood associations alone have planned and delivered to the community over 50 events, workshops, programs, activities, and initiatives. Yet, that's just the tip of the iceberg. We each have the ambition to do more, and providing more to our neighborhoods, not only to make everyone feel welcome, but most importantly, to make people feel like they are a part of the community. We know, and it is our primary goal, that every person who feels welcome and a part of their community becomes a positively contributing member of that community. Our work benefits not only our neighborhoods, but also the city of Brantford as a whole. Within all of those events, workshops, initiatives I mentioned, we have not only provided to our neighborhoods, but we've used them as avenues to partner with countless community and cultural organizations from across Brantford, giving them each the ability to further connect with the people and offer their services. We've supported local businesses who in turn have supported us, and we've worked with numerous city departments. The ripple effects of what we're doing, while they may not seem huge, are far-reaching and will continue to grow and expand. I wanted to provide you with a few small examples of why we do what we do. Beginning in the spring of 2024, we have been actively partnered with Equal Grounds Community Gardens and packaged and distributed hundreds of pollinator seed packets to encourage not only the beautification of our neighborhood, but also to benefit the environmental well-being of the city. The summer of 2024, we partnered with the Crew and gave away over 200 cases of sidewalk chalk in support of International Chalk the Walk Day, where we encouraged the neighborhood to share their artistic talents and brighten up our sidewalks with colorful art. On Halloween, we partnered with the Health Unit and distributed over 300 toothbrushes and information on the Healthy Smiles program to support the health and well-being of our neighborhood children. On January 8th of this year, I met Lachlan and his family. The day before, Lachlan turned 2. And was given his very first pair of skates. As mom and dad held him steady, they slowly skated Lachlan around City View Park skating rink for the very first time. It was his first time ever being on the ice that we created. Every freezing cold night spent flooding that ice, every winter storm we had to deal with, every aching muscle from shoveling instantly disappeared, knowing that we created a core memory for Lachlan, but also for his entire family. 2 days later, a team of Brantford 99ers came out to City View Park and skated on the rink. There was no time limit. There was no rushing out of the house after dinner to make a scheduled practice, no regimented drills, no scrimmage, no whistles. They got to skate for the love of doing it. They had the freedom to enjoy the game they loved. In February, we partnered with Queer Joy and held a skating party for the 2S LGBTQ plus community. When we were asked why we would do that, the answer was simple. Everyone is welcome here. In March of this year, we partnered with Alicia Moran, an Indigenous artist, and hosted a number of workshops where not only did they participate learning about creating dream catchers, but also had the opportunity to further appreciate the incredibly rich and diverse culture that the Indigenous community has to offer. In April, we hosted neighborhood cleanup days and picked up litter around the city. Despite being cold, dirty, and tired, we all had smiles on our faces at the end of the day because we made an important difference. Again, these are just a few examples of standout circumstances. I'd be remiss if I didn't also mention the monthly art workshops, our board game days, Dungeons and Dragon nights, our book clubs, our movies in the park, food drives, wellness walks, and much more. We've achieved all of this without having access to a community center or direct funding. Everything has been accomplished through dedicated fundraising, sponsorships, partnerships, and determination. Regardless of the scorching hot summer days and rainy Halloween night, the minus 29 winter temperatures, and the countless hours we put in, we keep looking to do more. We don't volunteer because we have to. We do it because it is a privilege. We do it because it is an investment into the future of our community. Every hour spent planning, every meeting, every event, every little piece of litter picked up, and every shovel of snow is an investment into Brantford. I could go on about all the things we've done, but tonight we're looking at what we can do next. Currently, we have lists, hundreds of lines long, with ideas, initiatives, goals, and to-dos for our neighborhoods. Frankly, the sky's the limit on what we want to do, but we're simply neighborhood volunteers. Volunteers who have to stretch every fundraised penny to do all of these amazing things. And if we can't, it usually comes out of our own pockets. But what could we do if the city invested in us? Well, those goals just out of our reach will get a little bit closer. We'll expand our partnerships, grow our events, build more of the supports and benefits we can offer to our neighbors. We could make those small ripple effects we started even bigger and do so much more for the neighborhoods and Brantford as a whole. I've lived and raised my family here in Brantford for the last 18 years, 17 of which I've been an active volunteer within the community. I've been a part of every type of board, committee, working group, you name it. And never have I ever been a part of something where the people are so invested, so engaged, and so passionate about their cause to make their neighborhood, their community a better place to live. These people work tirelessly to make Brantford a great city to live and grow in. They support those who may need it. They engage with those who feel isolated. They turn the old and tired into new and beautiful. But most importantly, they make people feel good about where they live. There's no end to what we can do. Therefore, I ask you tonight to consider accepting Brantford Station and West Brant Neighborhood Associations as the newest additions to the Hub Neighborhood Program. This is but a drop in the bucket when it comes to funding, but considering what we're capable of, this support will be a huge investment that will benefit Brantford in countless ways. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Don't go anywhere. We do have a question for you from Councillor Caputo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Chad. Thank you for being here tonight. Two questions. What your group does, what Homedale, what the groups that handle Ward 2 are phenomenal. I just have two questions for you. What are some of the initiatives that this funding could support in your neighborhood that you haven't already mentioned?
Honestly, the possibilities are truly endless when it comes down to it. Some areas that we're really looking at hoping expanding in is certainly our workshop offerings, everything from cultural teachings to activities, food security and environmental sustainability programs. Lately, in fact, the month of June, every single day we have activities going on. We actually want to put a stronger focus on active play as well as health and wellness initiatives. We hope to continue expanding with those partnerships, especially with Grand Erie Public Health, the Brant Mental Health Solutions, Participation, Free Sports with Growth, et cetera, or for Growth, et cetera. Beyond that, hopefully, fingers crossed, with the building of the new Robert Moore Park in the next year or sooner, depends on you folks up there. It will provide us with not only a beautiful new park, but also an accessible space to allow us to do larger events. And that is one of our big goals, is to do these larger events that draw more people into the community, into the neighborhood, and the city itself.
Okay. And there's one last one. As a neighborhood association, what do you find is the biggest challenge?
There's a lot of challenges, and some of the challenges that we truly face are the resources and supports. Obviously, we're all volunteers. We're putting in our own personal time, but we spend a lot of time building the community, but we also see the daily struggles of what our neighbors are going through, those day-to-day challenges and what they're facing. So we're all very compassionate people, and we want to help everyone, but we know we simply can't. So we really truly need those supports and resources so that we can help those people that need it the most. We work with some incredible city staff. Some of them are here, and honestly, what they do to help us and support us is phenomenal. We could not do nearly what we accomplish without their support, but what we need is more of that. Really, again, those resources and supports so we can connect with the right organizations and the right associations so we can help people in need, be it mental health, be it food security, financial resources, all of that sort of stuff. So there's so much more we could do within the community. It's just we need more resources and support.
Thanks, Chad. Nice to see you here tonight. Nice to see everybody here. I've always come to your house. I'm glad that you got to come to mine tonight.
Anytime.
And we've just exceeded our 10-minute limit here.
Wasn't that perfect?
Perfect timing. Councillor Hunt, I saw you in queue. Are you okay with that? Next we have, sorry, you can have a seat and we'll move on. Next we have Erica James. And Erica, you're no stranger to being up here, so you know the drill. 10 minutes inclusive of questions.
Good evening. Thank you for having us and listening to our suggestions and our plan for our Homedale Neighborhood Associations and our neighborhood associations. Madam Chair, Mayor Davis, councilors. My name is Erica James, and I'm the chair of the Homedale Neighborhood Association, as well as a founding member of the Brantford Station Neighborhood Association and current member of that one as well. And just want to talk to you a little bit about the report. It's been a long time coming. We started the process on a very small subcommittee of the Neighborhood Alliance of Brantford to basically go over our policies and procedures in the neighborhood associations. And we tweaked it and improved it. And I think we've made it much better. So I hope that I'm sure you've already reviewed it. I hope that you will approve it later on. I'm going to give you a few highlights of Homedale Neighborhood Association. So in the past year, we basically have put in about combined effort about 300 hours of volunteer service. We had our annual yard sale in June of last year. Then we had our Dufferin Park grand opening and our Family Fun Day, which was a great time until the torrential rains came pouring down at 1 o'clock. So just a little quick side note, Councilor Samwell, Mayor Davis, Chair Sokoli, I'm still waiting on our pickleball match. So if we can arrange that sometime, that would be great. Then because of our rainout, we decided to have a Family Fun Day 2.0 in August, which was phenomenal. A lot of people showed up to it. It was amazing. We also are developing a art piece, a 4x8 piece of art that we're hoping to attach to the side of the community building at Dufferin Park that we are working on. It's basically a depiction of the river in our community and so on. So we're working on that. We also did a tree planting last year at Dufferin Park. Planted a couple hundred trees. And then we also have our annual breakfast with Mrs. Claus and Santa, which brings up lots of kids. We provide presents for each child to pick out to take home as a gift to their parents that they don't know they're getting. We also did an inflatable Santa food drive where we collected 218 pounds of food and $333 in cash for the local food bank. And I'm sure that most of you know that the Homedale Dufferin area, there's a whole pile of inflatable Santa to go up every Christmas. So we wanted to kind of create an event over that to basically raise funds for our local food bank, which is definitely needed. We also had a yoga winter solstice, and that's just to name a few. So now 2025, we also had a couple of skating parties, which were well attended at Lincoln Square, which was amazing. We gave away pair of Leafs tickets that are courtesy of, I think it was Hartman. We gave away some Bulldogs tickets and all kinds of prizes at these two events, which were very well attended. Starting tomorrow, our Homedale Neighborhood Association starts our community pickleball play. So we can make it happen. Wednesdays and Fridays from 6 to 9. We have booked the courts as an association to get more of our local community out playing it. I probably have about 40 people who have registered, and about, I would say, at least 15 of them are brand new, never played before. So hopefully they develop the love for the game, and we have more pickleball players in town. So these events that we do bring out a lot of smiles joy to our community. Neighborhood associations develop the feeling of community, as well as we help individuals with their health and wellness. So at this time, I'd also like to recognize my executive team for all they do for our community. So Sherry, Monique, Ruby, Colin, Brian, Daryl, John, and Barbara. These are all our current executive, which without them, you know what, this doesn't happen. So I want to thank them publicly and personally for their help. And I also want to thank a couple of past members, Karen, Alex, who just left our executive, as well as in the audience, we have one of our past chairs, Sylvia Collins. So I want to thank her for all the work that she has done over the years. So now I'm going to have a few remarks regarding Brantford Station. As I mentioned, I'm one of the founding members of Brantford Station, and I currently am on there. And like Chad has said, I'm amazed with what they do with virtually nothing. So I cannot wait to see what they can do with hub funding. It's going to be phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. So with your continued support and of the policy review and report, we can continue building our communities, keep bringing smiles on individual faces, and improve their health and well-being. And finally, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Roy Don, Megan, and Kimberly and their teams for their unwavering support of our associations. Without these city staff and the team of city staff that support our associations, we wouldn't be able to do the things that we do. So thank you to those folks. And then that's about it I have to say right at the moment. And any questions?
We do have one question so far. Councillor Samwell.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Chair. So Erica, first I want to thank you for being here tonight and for all of the work that you and the Homedale Neighborhood Association do for our community. The one question I wanted to ask you is, could you elaborate a little bit on what the impact of having 2 more hub neighborhoods would mean for our city?
Well, I think it will be absolutely amazing because the funding is, especially the hubs that are, the associations are going to get the hub funding. They're very, there's not a lot there. Like, you know, Chad mentioned, there's no schools, there's no community centers in Brantford Station. And for some of the people that don't know where Brantford Station is, it is basically the section of a city called North Ward, which is William, Pearl, Albion, Richmond, as well as half of Terrace Hill. Yeah, so It's also not necessarily a super high social economical area, so getting the extra funding will be phenomenal. I don't know West Brand as well, but probably the same sort of situation. I know that they always have amazing events when they, I think is it Prince William Park over in by Helen Street, Prince Stan Park, and yeah, so I'm sure they can do some amazing things for the community and so on. So it's we'll really appreciate the extra funding.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We do have, next question is Counselor Carpenter, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Erica, thank you for what you do. Why do you do it?
Why?
Why do you volunteer?
Well, I want to give back to my community. That's the number one thing. And I find over the years of giving back, when you give back and you provide a service or you do something for others, it's great for your mental health, your own personal wellness and so on. It's just the feeling you get out of it. It's just amazing and so on. And I also think that the neighborhood associations, I know that we have a couple councilors here on the stand, Linda Hunt and Annie Samuel, who are former neighborhood association individuals, as well as a couple of most recent ones, Cheryl Anastosky and Rick Weaver, all became great counselors. So it's a very good place to sort of train and develop community and develop, your rapport with individuals, and one day sit up with you folks.
So you have a lot of communication with the community as part of that.
Absolutely.
Process. Thank you for what you do.
And last one in the queue, we have Counselor McCreary, please.
Sure, thank you very much, Erica. Thanks for being here tonight. The contribution you and other neighborhood association folks make to our community fabric is invaluable. Thank you very much. I would like to get your commitment on something going forward, though. I can't tell you how many people commented positively about your portrayal of Mrs. Claus on skates at the Free Skate and Civic Center last year, and I would like your commitment tonight to repeat that again.
Absolutely.
In the next skate season.
I'll be there.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Erica. This concludes all the questions. Up next, I'll invite Susan Walters, please. As Susan comes forward, just pick a microphone, push the button. When it lights up red, you're ready to go. I'll have you state your full name for the record, and then a reminder that you have 10 minutes, and that's inclusive of questions.
Is it on? Good evening, councilors, Madam Chair, Mayor Davis. I'm Susan Walters, and thank you very much for this opportunity to speak with you tonight. I'm here to express my encouragement and support to raise the current per diem daily rate that the city provides neighborhood associations for municipal skating rinks. So rinks in city parks, as I'm sure you're aware, the city currently provides $9 a day for an open rink day in these for these skating rinks. Now so it's only on open days, and this rate has been in place, to my knowledge, for at least 8 years, going back to 2017, possibly a lot longer than that. And I am aware that, to the best of my knowledge, I am aware that there was a proposal brought to City Council several years ago to raise that per diem rate for open days at municipal skating rinks to $15 a day. And that was received, to the best of my knowledge, received with very positive support. However, I think mainly due to the pandemic, which deferred it, these skating rinks were not open for a few years. That motion was deferred for several years. And I believe it's on the agenda tonight. So given that the time has passed
significantly when there was positive support from the city to raise it to 15. I encourage you to consider it raising it even higher than that to between at 18 to 20 daily open rink days. Neighborhood association volunteers, neighborhood volunteers invest countless hours to provide this free, accessible winter recreation in neighborhoods. Currently, according to the city's website, this past winter, there was at least 23 municipal skating rinks in 23 different parks. This is not compensation for volunteer hours. This is funding that the city provides that goes to help maintain those rinks, provide winter recreational activities, but also to provide funding for year-round activities through those neighborhood associations, not just winter activities in the parks. The costs are very low to maintain a skating rink. It's really water's expensive, but the costs are minimal, but the volunteer hours are really extensive. At the park in my neighborhood where I live in North Ward, I know this was an exceptional winter. It was an excellent winter for outdoor skating rinks, but I know there was more than 200 hours just put into building and maintaining that neighborhood skating rink, which was used every open day, and maybe on the off the cuff, maybe even some non-open days. This is a grassroots model that works. It provides inclusive, healthy recreation at a fraction of the cost of other city-run recreational programs. These volunteer-driven efforts promote physical activity. Many people have talked about the benefits tonight. Physical activity, social connection, and strong, safe neighborhoods. Goals that align perfectly with the city's priorities and agendas. To keep this sustainable and to show genuine appreciation for the volunteers who make it all happen, I respectfully urge the city to adjust the compensation rate. It's a simple, cost-effective way to support community-led recreation and recognize the value of volunteer contributions. I thank you for your time and consideration. Any questions?
Councillor Carpenter has a question for you.
Thank you for what you do, and I'm very appreciative of neighbor associations.
Just to clarify, I do not volunteer at our neighborhood skating rink. Just to clarify, I support it, but I'm not out there at 11 p.m. or midnight.
No,
posing.
you have a rink committee that does.
My partner is.
Oh, okay. And every penny that's earned goes right back into other community events for the neighborhood association for the community. Is that not correct?
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
Thank you for what you do, and thank you, your partner for these late cold nights.
As well as others, but thank you very much.
Yes, the rink committee. Yes, thank you.
I see no other speakers in the queue, so thank you so much, Susan.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, councillors.
And I'll welcome up Sylvia Collins, please, as our next delegate. There's a little button under there. So once you're ready, push the button. When it lights up red, you're good to go. State your name and you have 10 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor Davis and members of council. My name is Sylvia Collins, and I'm the chair of the Neighborhood Alliance of Brantford. I'm happy to be able to be here tonight to share my thoughts and experience of being a part of the neighborhood association in this city, and to thank Mayor Davis and council for all their ongoing enthusiastic support of all the neighborhood associations. A subcommittee of NAB joined with city staff to bring forward improvements to the neighborhood association policy, which was already in place. The hours spent working together and bringing the policy up to date has resulted in a policy that will assist neighborhood associations in their efforts to build stronger, safer communities. This policy has been built and continues to grow as a result of passionate community champions who care about the future of their neighborhood and our city as a whole. This policy is an example of what can be created from a place of passion, commitment, and a strong sense of community. Thank you to Councillor Linda Hunt and Councillor Samwell, who also made contributions to this policy as volunteers in their own neighborhood associations. This policy was created and continues to grow because it is nurtured by a genuine commitment to make our neighborhoods the greatest places to live, work, and play. Funding neighborhood associations and rink programs helps each neighborhood to offer activities that build a strong sense of community, increase safety, and instill a sense of pride in our neighborhoods. But the story is bigger than that. It includes every kid that learned to skate on an outdoor rink, every neighbor that attended an event so that they could connect or reconnect to a neighbor, every neighbor that has come forward with a safety concern and was supported in the process of having changes made. Programs like Gifts of the Heart, Snow Buddies, Neighbors Helping Neighbors program, which was during COVID, sports programs, seasonal celebrations, and neighborhood safety initiatives. When neighborhood associations are supported and funded, it means that each neighbor has a chance to connect more strongly to the place they call home. It could be as simple as meeting someone because you happen to sit with them at a picnic table funded by the neighborhood association and spark up a conversation, or being involved on the executive of the local neighborhood association. It could be one of the unseen heroes that flood the local rink in the dark of night, or the person that shows up at each neighborhood association event and is there to do whatever needs to be done. When there's a local, active, and passionate neighborhood association, it gives each person a chance to connect in whatever way suits them best, and it is all for the same purpose, to make their own corner of the world a better place to live, work, and play. Tonight, we're asking members of council to recognize the two new hub-funded neighborhood associations, West Brant and Brantford Station, and to increase the funding formula for the Outdoor Neighborhood Rink Association, which has not been increased since 2005. I believe you can see the importance of your recognition and the impact it will have on our neighborhood association volunteers and our city as a whole. You had 15 delegations telling you how important it is to go outside. Thank you again for this opportunity to speak before you tonight, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Terrific, and we do have a few questions for you. Up first, we have Councillor Sless, and he'll be, yep.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sylvia, I'd like to say thank you for all you've done. Most people probably don't know, but you worked many months a year, I think it was Saudi Arabia, and you used to get up in the middle of the night and zoom in to the Homedale Neighborhood Association meetings. If that isn't commitment to the nth degree, I don't know what is. But you've certainly been stellar. You put that organization on solid footing, and you've moved on, and I'm sure you're doing the same where you are now. So, Sylvia, thanks a lot for what you do. You're certainly a true asset to the city, and thanks again.
Thank you, Councillor Sless. That's remarkable. We have Councillor Samwell next.
Thank you. So first, I also want to thank you for all you do for our community through your role at NAB and at Homedale and DCNA now. But I just wanted to, you've touched on all the important reasons about why we should approve the policy tonight and why we should include the other hub neighborhoods. There's something that kind of sparked a thought in my mind was, could you expand a little bit more about the importance of picnic tables and why you included that in your presentation tonight?
Thank you for asking, Councillor. I really think that picnic tables are the foundation of a safer, more connected neighborhood. I do have a 20-minute presentation that goes beyond my time limit allowed tonight. I would like to say that the more picnic tables that are funded within the city and in the parks for people to be able to sit and connect, the stronger the committee or the community and the safer the parks will be, and also lights. They go with the picnic table. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Sylvia.
Thank you. That's all we seem to have for you. Thank you so much for coming. Up next, Armanda. You just push the button on the microphone when it lights up red. There you go.
All right, and I have a presentation I made because it's better visual than me, essentially. That's not page one, though. So my name's Armanda, and I am the chair of the Eastward Echo Place Neighborhood Association. I believe I have the longest title, so we go by EWEPNA. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about my neighborhood because I'm very proud of them. And I like to think we're doing a great job at helping people become a part of a community. Now, I wasn't local when I moved to this town. I was from Niagara and I moved here and I found myself to be a single mom. And that was to my great shock. And then I found Monique Hunsley, who you all know is on a neighborhood association as well as NAB. And I found Becky Donaldson and I found Sylvia and all kinds of other people who helped it feel like home for me. And now I've been here for 20 years when I had a 2-year plan. So it tells you how much I like the city. So if we take a look at the first slide I had, if I don't know who I tell to switch.
I believe you have a clicker on the table, but I doubt if you just say next slide.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so I wanted to show you an example of some of the activities we've done so that you had a visual of how much we do. And to everybody in the audience, you're all welcomed because everyone belongs in Eastward. So we have pickup basketball, which is mostly designed for trying to get more community involvement in between the ages of 16 plus, because oftentimes we see a lot of activities that are regulated for children mainly. We have a book club, which has turned into me reading books at Stedman. And that is fully accessible for anybody to join into. And we meet once a month. And that has been overwhelmingly rewarding and has had a great response. We do free bowling. We try to do that quarterly to make sure that any family who might not have the same income as someone else still has the opportunity to try out sports. And that's a big initiative that we all believe in. So we also have Zumba, and some of you may remember, because some of you came to plant trees with us. We managed to plant 350 trees in one day, and that alone speaks to the great community we currently have. That we could get that many people out on a Saturday morning and give their time is an amazing thing. Now, that's not all we've done. Oh yeah, I'm gonna brag. So we decided to do an exact English sign language class. And the reason why I thought this was good is because when I became chair, I thought one of the problems in our neighborhood was that we have a lot of newcomers. We have a lot of different economic demographics. And I wanted everybody to be able to learn something new. And what I found was with our sign language class is that people were enrolling in order to get soft skills. I also had people that came from more vulnerable communities who brought their assistants with them to teach them how to speak to them, which I thought was positively beautiful. We had people that were 16 years old, right up to 80 years old in this class. And for me, this is a very valuable thing because when we say we're going to be inclusive, I think it's important we walk the walk. We have, we did make our own soap. And in case you're wondering, we have somebody who is in the movie Wicked who will be at our movie nights. So if you do want to come meet somebody who's from Brantford, who can show you that you can get to Hollywood and be an extra, you're welcome to come meet them and speak to them directly. I'll try to go quick for you guys. I also wanted to show you the pictures because pictures speak so much more to me. If you're on my Facebook, you know I love to take pictures. So we do have the bowling there. So one of the things I didn't put up there was how we partner with the Jeeps Association in Brantford. And we do a trick-or-treat give out. So it's like their own trick-or-treating thing and they go trick-or-treating to each Jeep. You can see us all planting our trees. The rink is its own beast. As a chair, I have to say, and I'm somebody who has lupus, so standing in the cold is not a lovely activity for me. But I have these warriors of people that come out. One guy, Dave, who's absolutely exceptional. I don't think there was a single time I went there where he wasn't cleaning that rink for us. And as a result of that, we managed to stay open every single day that it was possible. So we would like to see that fund increased if possible. in that we have some equipment that could really use some upgrading. Things are just different from the time we got them. We do have some great partners in the community who have been helping us. But unfortunately, there's lots that we could do more if we could. And I agree. I love the lights that are there. Thank you to everyone for including your safety thoughts. And I put the horse wagon there because that's our program branching out, which was started by Keith, who wanted to work on both food rescue and reducing the waste in our community. So what he's done is made a program that's a tree registry. And now if you go onto the branch in Brantford and you sign up, say you can't yourself physically pick your own trees, well, myself and my buddies will show up in your yard and we'll pick those trees for you. And we'll leave you a third of your products, plus a third goes to the community directly to the BL pantry to hand out to various locations. And I wanted to say that because both the members of the BL pantry were also people that were once upon a time in the neighborhood association. And the people who are involved with Goth, who started feeding 305 kids every day in grade schools, they all started with the power and the support from city council to do that. And I think it's so important that we continue to do that and allow more neighborhoods to be a part of our association hubs. Our town is growing, and I would hate for them to miss out because they weren't here first. And I love that I get to say this in front of all those kids, because I hope you come out. And I'm so proud of all of you because you're all so inspirational. I would love to have you on my committees. So now I dare say, and this is my punchline here, if a smile's worth $100, then my neighborhood, it's priceless. You can't beat it. You really can't. And I dare you all to try because I love to go to your events too. So when you're thinking about this, I hope that we're not just thinking about the cost of what it means to have a new hub, because you can't put a value on what that does to people's loneliness, which we know the Canadian government has announced is an epidemic in our country. And the fact that we have people on the ground level who can assist people to what they need in City Hall, if they have any questions about who their counselors are. We are the voice of all of you, really, because of your support. And that's invaluable to every constituent in this town. I mean, they really, you'd be amazed how many people I speak to, and they tell me all kinds of things, but all I can do is say, I will help the best I can. And the fact that you give funding to these hubs is the reason why so many can give their time to be the person to hold someone else's hand and get them through those hard days. So I would love to continue doing great programming for all of you. And I would love to see you all. I thank you all. I know Mayor Davis planted trees with me, and you know, that was fantastic. I loved seeing him there because everybody loved seeing you there. So everybody was like, wow, the mayor's here. So it became a big event. But I would encourage you all to check out all of our neighborhoods. And it's with that relationship that we also, like I sit on the NAB committee now, right? We all do. And look at Wheels of the Pavement. We just had that wonderful event last weekend. It was absolutely dynamite. For the first time, we got agricultural things out there. And the level of education that is bringing on the ground level to children of different learning abilities, to be able to have tactile and sound and ask all those questions. I'm very proud of my neighborhood, and I wasn't going to miss the opportunity to tell you that. And I don't want to miss the opportunity for you guys to think for even a heartbeat that what you're doing doesn't make a big impact on every day. And Chad, if he doesn't get a hub, who gets that? I mean, he's dynamite. You know, you have no idea until you met Rachel Kruger how amazing she is. And all of them are. And I would like you all to meet every single one of us when you get the chance, because we're all here just waiting to be there to meet you, because you all belong to our wards and we all belong to yours. I skipped all my notes I wrote down, but if you have questions, I will take them.
About 30 seconds and
I saved time?
Samwell.
It's the first time.
So first, I want to thank you for being here, and the heart really comes through from your presentation. I just wanted to ask, you told us about how you got involved. tell me why you continue to do the work that you do.
Well, I joke I can't keep my mouth shut. So I had a dream and Keith said to me, come to the neighborhood meeting. It'll be great. And then you all said yes. And I went, great. But then I was committed a little bit. But truthfully, I had been volunteering for Branch Out Brantford for about 2 years now. I really love my friends. So I've also been photographing everything Iwepna did because of Keith and Robin. And Manik, I've been in Homedale photographing their things because of Becky Donaldson. So I guess I'm a really good groupie or a good paparazzi. But I stay in it because my grandmother raised me and she would say, if you live in that community is your responsibility. If you can do positive change, it's not just a thought, it's a responsibility. Because not everybody can fight for themselves and you have to be the voice for the fairness. And so that was very much instilled in us. You know, it's my grandmother's fault and it's all my lovely friends. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
From the heart.
Thank you so much. That concludes our
Thank you.
presentation. Thank you. All right, and that concludes all of our delegations. So we're going to move into business tonight. So the first thing we're going to look at is item 7.1. With the indulgence of this committee, I'd like to move that right to the top so the littles can maybe go have their bath and stuff. So Councillor McCreary, I'm going to pass this off to you to introduce item 7.1.
Chair, thank you very much. I am the mover, Councillor Martin is the seconder, and I shall read the resolution. That's how we begin. Whereas Resurrection School students Aurora, Beulah, Catherine, Cecilia, Charlotte, Damien, Dante, Divya, Eli, Emmett, Emmy, Holly, Isabel, Kayla, Cohen, Liam, Lorenzo, Mason, Molly, Phoenix, Samuel, Sarah, Titus, and Xavier corresponded with Councillors Martin and McCreary as part of their grade 4-5 civics curriculum. You notice I put them in alphabetical order. And whereas the students advocated clearly and effectively to promote their request to install park lighting in Briar Park and Cameron Downs Park, and whereas Councillor McCreary and Parks Manager Dave Meyer attended the class and engaged in a positive discussion, and whereas the students cited safety concerns and extension of the usable park time to permit more activity and fun. Now therefore be it resolved that Resurrection School students and teacher Mason McCormick and Brant Haldeman Norfolk Catholic School Board staff are to be commended for their civic interest and advocacy, and that city staff be directed as follows. Point A, plan and convene neighborhood meetings for further public engagement. Point B is to prepare estimates, project description, funding sources, and timelines for implementation of the potential lighting project. And C, report back to this group by 30th of June this year. And if I will expound somewhat, and it's been alluded to by others here, but I must say how much hope this gives to me and to members of this committee to see the future here before us today, to see a bunch of young adults, to see their moms and their dads and their grandmas and their grandpas and their siblings. And I wasn't kidding when I thought I'd nominate this guy, Mason McCormick, as Teacher of the Year. Councillor Martin and I have been involved with this class over the last couple of months, and we were also there for the scientists in school thing. And these kids really are exemplary, and the leadership that Mason has demonstrated in teaching these kids is absolutely phenomenal. It reminds me of a teacher I had who set my life on a positive course. His name was Jerry Fuss. So this is how you build community. This is how you engage people. I only wish as many adults proportionately were involved in their community as you folks are. And by the way, thanks for your patience while we work through this tonight. I should say you're welcome to stay for the rest of the festivities this evening. But we will take a brief break when we conclude this item. So those of you who want to head out can do so. I don't know how one could refuse tonight, given the positive reasons to support this. And I'm just going to reiterate some of the positives. Number one, it's going to provide more exercise opportunity. It's going to make people healthier. It's going to make them safer. It's going to allow them to socialize, give them a sense of community, and bring families together. And then, Council, I think we've received adequate warning of the consequences of failing to follow what's been suggested tonight. Because darkness in the parks after night can lead to pink eye, okay? Unemployed gamers, my favorite, brain rot, binge watching of TV, depression and mental health issues, full hospitals, being kidnapped, bitten, or stolen, and being dark and lonely. I don't see how anybody in this room tonight could fail to join me in unanimous support for what these young people have brought to us tonight. And I urge you all to get on board and make this happen. And I should say that when I alluded in the resolution to the rest of the process, our city staff I've been out with city staff. Greg and I were out with city staff, and we've got a plan sort of how to do this. And we've got sort of a time frame of how to do this. We're going to consult with the immediate neighborhood and let them know that we're not going to have the lights running all night. There's going to be a shut off point in time. And I can't see anybody in the neighborhood being negatively influenced. So not to presage what the outcome of that consultation may be. We'll hope to get through that in quick order and we can have a response here within a month. And with hope we can have this stuff all done for winter time so that we can enjoy the park for a couple more hours per day. And again, thanks all. Thanks for all this stuff and all your engagement, and thanks for being here tonight. We seldom have an audience that's this happy, this big an audience that's this happy. When the room is that full, they usually come with pitchforks and torches. Thanks again.
Mr. McCreary, you forgot one of the consequences, which is never moving out of your parents' basement. We don't want to forget that one. Yeah.
And that clearly resonates with the chair.
Right. It does. It does. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Well, it was an amazing presentation. Obviously, this is an amazing class because of their amazing teacher. So it's wonderful that you all came out. All the parents of the children who presented must be very proud. I'm sure some of them were nervous, but it really didn't show. The presentations were excellent. You had humor in a bunch of them. It was all excellent. And as has been said, there's future leaders from that group, I'm sure. There's neighborhood associations that need volunteers, and eventually some of those lead to being on council. If that's in your dream, then I hope you follow that. Otherwise, whatever your dreams are, follow them through, and I hope you all are very successful in your lives. And the fact that you were willing to come here and make presentation shows you have a lot of what it takes to be successful. And the system we have here records all the votes, but years ago we had a system where if you wanted a recorded vote, you had to ask for it. And on a resolution like this, I would ask for a recorded vote, not because it was contentious, but to show that it was unanimous. And I expect that's what we're going to have here tonight, is a unanimous vote because of the hard work that Mr. McCormick and his class put into the initial letters and coming here to make these presentations. You all should be very proud of what you did, and I look forward to this resolution receiving unanimous support. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Councillor Councillor Van Tilburg.
Thank you, Chair. Well, not being from the area and reading the resolution and hearing all the students speak and advocate for the parks and the parks getting lights, I have to ask a question of staff. In the resolution, it says Cameron Downs Park. Is that some old historical name or context, or is it Cameron Heights Park? Because I would hate the wrong park to get the lighting after all this presentation.
Through the chair, Kimberly Weisgall, Director of Parks and Recs. I believe it's Cameron Heights Park. We'll get that corrected.
Okay, that's an excellent correction coming then. Well done, everyone. This is going to show what you can do when you write letters and you come to council and present in front of us with excellent arguments on why you need lights in your park. And also on a note, I do have friends that live in that area on Wood Street, and they have said for years that they believe that that park with all of its walkways needed lights. So you've done the job that they've wanted done in their backyards. So thank you very much.
Councillor Caputo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This has been probably one of the most refreshing evenings I've been around in a long, long time. It takes a special group of young adults to be able to come here and sit in front of us and be able to make a flawless presentation. Flawless. As Councillor McCreary said, parents should be proud, as Councillor Celeste said. This was absolutely phenomenal. I am going to support this evening. I'm going to support it, and I hope everyone does it as unanimously as well. And I think this is an opportunity not only for us to look at this, but certainly something to do throughout the entire city. You know, maybe look at different areas, different parks, different things. Maybe look at solar, whatever it happens to do. I'll wait for staff to bring back a report. But I'll tell you, man, it takes a special group of young adults in grades 4 and 5 to call out Gen Zs and millennials the way you did. And it's not coming from someone who's in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. And to all the outside couch potatoes out there, there's a lesson to be learned here tonight. God bless you, kids. Thank you very much, and I appreciate you being here tonight.
Councillor Carpenter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, you've found out how democracy actually works. We're not somebody's, you are. We are public servants. We work for you. So when you come here and tell us what you want, our job is to make sure you have what you want, what your needs are in the community, because we work for you. That's what this job actually is. You've exercised your democratic right to come here and tell us what your needs are. You should be very proud of yourself for doing so. And you should be encouraged to continue to do the same going forward. Not only, and earlier in the budget this year, we approved that we would plow those paved pathways in the park as well. So that's because those are access points from one neighborhood to the next, and they're a quicker way to get to your friend's house and a safer way. And those parks need to be lit and they need to be plowed as we're doing. And you've come to us with a suggestion to improve your neighborhood, and you've exercised your democratic right to do so. And it'll definitely be a yes for me. And don't stop here though. You got other suggestions, bring them forward. Tell your friends in other classrooms and friends that aren't in your school that you can make a difference to city council. If you've got something that you want done, or you've got something you have a concern about, you can contact your city councilor and things will happen because you said so. And that's really important. So and a few of you did say that, you said, because if you don't, that's the only way you stay here as a city councilor, is by listening to the constituents at any age and do as you ask us. So thank you for doing so. I'm very proud of each and every one of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And seeing no one else left to speak, I will just say a few words. And, you know, we sit up here and we make a lot of decisions every night, every week, and some of them are good and some of them are bad, or challenging, I should say. But I think this experience is one that I will keep with me for a very long time. This has been a really refreshing and positive experience for me. And I think almost all of us have a teacher that we kind of took with us as one of our most favorites or impactful teachers. For me, that was Miss Rocky from back in Hamilton. And I think Mr. McCormick, you're setting yourself up to be that for a lot of young adults coming up through the education system. And for that, I thank you, because it's not always like that, as you know. So thank you. And to all the littles here, all the little humans, I want to share a story that these guys are probably sick of hearing, but when I was about 9 or 10, I wanted a new park in my neighborhood. It was called Browns Park, and it was really run down. And with the help of my mom, I wrote a letter to my city councilor. And as a result of that, I was allowed to stay up late and watch city council meeting in Hamilton and watch my city councilor read my letter out loud. And we ended up getting a new park at Browns Park. So I'm hoping that you'll take this experience, all the youngins, forward in your life and in your careers, and maybe give that some consideration moving forward, that your voice is very important and you can affect change in your neighborhood. So thank you so much for coming out here tonight. And to all the parents who are out probably way later than you want to be, thank you so much for your support. And seeing no further speakers, we will call the vote on this item.
Item 7.1 carries unanimously on a recorded vote of 11-0. Those voting in favor: Councillor Sullivan, Sokoli, Slats, Caputo, McCreary, Martin, Carpenter, Hunt, Samwell, Van Tilburg, and Mayor Davis.
Congratulations. We are going to recess for 10 minutes to allow for some turnover in the audience. We're going to begin again in about a minute. All right, we have quorum. We are going to call this meeting back into session. Counselor Sless, I believe you have the motion to place all separated items for discussion on the floor.
I do, Madam Chair. It's moved by myself, seconded by my ward mate, Councillor Caputo, that all items for consideration and consent, 6.1 and 6.2, separated for discussion purposes, be approved.
Thank you for that. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll call I guess we just go right into the first item that we're going to chat about is the support for the neighborhood association. We're moving that up to the top because we had some delegates. So any discussion on that? Councillor Samwa.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I just wanted to speak briefly on this report, not as a councillor, but as someone who's lived and led this work on the ground. Before I was elected, I had the honor of serving as the chair of one of Brantford's first designated hub neighborhoods, Eagle Place. I've seen firsthand what this model can do, not just in theory, but in real time, along with residents. Today, I'm so proud to support something that I know works because I've seen it work. Neighborhood hubs are not just about funding programs. They're about building connections, trust, and belonging from the ground up. They create conditions for neighborhoods to support the health of both the community and the people in it. The extra support that comes from being designated hub neighborhood associations lets them do more of what they're already doing well. Engaging residents, running local programs, identifying solutions that fit their neighborhoods. When we support the neighborhoods with the right tools and the ability to respond to local needs, they build solutions that are rooted in real relationships. It shows up in the way we celebrate Christmas together as a neighborhood. It's neighborhood Zumba and drum circles in a park. It's the Wheels on the Pavement event that brought people together across generations. It's about creating neighborhoods where everyone feels like they belong. The hub model works because it's grounded in what people actually need. We're talking about a model that recognizes the value of local leadership. It provides additional modest support, but meaningful, to neighborhood volunteers who are doing some of the most impactful work in our city. It's responsive and grounded in the unique strengths of each community. I also wanted to highlight the increase to the RINC grant program. It might seem like a small thing, but if you've ever seen a RINC volunteer, you know it really is a big thing. They bundle up and they go out in the freezing cold late when everyone else is warm inside, just to make sure the ice is ready to get as many skatable days for the community as they can before it melts. It's the quiet work, often unseen, that brings joy, health, and memories to hundreds of children and families. Sometimes it's a better RINC shovel, and sometimes it's a warm cup of hot chocolate passed between cold hands. That's what this investment is really about, the people. So I'm incredibly pleased to see 2 more neighborhoods receiving that designation tonight. And I want to thank the volunteers, the broader neighborhood association network, and the city staff for continuing to make this model a success. Brantford is stronger when we invest in people and the places that hold our city together. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Carpenter, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Neighborhood associations have been close to my heart for many, many years. I've been probably at the very beginning starting with Brantwood Park and Linden Hills, and they had to join to become Brand Lynn, and it became a very vibrant neighborhood association. And even back then, I remember contracting a friend of mine to come and build a set of stairs to the second story of that building without permission, I might add, and so they could store their baseball equipment so they could survive and keep the league alive, and then use the actual meeting space in that building so they could have their monthly meetings. Again, without permission. We finally got permission later, and then we got the concession stand for them, for the kids to learn how to sell things in the concession stand and provide events at that local location. So near and dear to my heart are neighbor associations. They are the grassroots of our community. They are the lifeblood of our community. Truth be said, the people that are involved with neighbor associations because they care about their neighborhoods. They care about their neighbors. That's what builds a community. That's what builds a city. So neighbors taking care of neighbors. What a novel approach. What a wonderful thing that is when that actually exists. Everyone should be doing that, and everyone should be involved in it. And the people that are, they are genuinely wonderful human beings. Deep down, they care about their community and their neighbors. That's why they do it. That's why they volunteer all those hours. And we should be doing more. I would like to see us eventually move to providing signage for all the neighborhood associations, so they have digital signage, so they have to market themselves to the community, so the community can not just find out on social media, but they find out what the events are happening by those community signage or proper signage. They've been sort of raising that funds on their own, a little bit here and a little bit there, and some of them are able to do that depending on their size. But every one of those neighborhood associations are valuable. It was many, many years ago that I looked and I saw, why is there 8 members of the 12-member council of Guelph female? So I called Guelph to find out, and it turns out that 8 of those members, they have the largest neighborhood association, had 24 at the time, neighborhood associations in the city of Guelph active. So we went down there with a trip with Parks and Rec, and we talked to the neighborhood associations, and they all ran different programs. And that's where the future leaders came from, because a lot of neighborhood associations is something mom and dad, mostly mom, can get involved with, because of the time that they have with a two-parent working family, is one parent could pitch in. And that's where the future leaders came from in Guelph, and that's why they ended up with so many women on their Guelph council. They came from neighborhood association. Future leaders should come from neighborhood associations, because that's what builds the community. You already know what the people in your community need. I'm very proud of you. I'll do anything I can to always support you and any of your needs, and I'll certainly support this small gesture here, but we need to do so much more. Thank you very much for everything you do.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I was surprised one time when, I forget where it was, but it come up that Brantford was one of the few communities that had neighborhood associations. I thought everyone would have them because they do such wonderful work. They build their community, they build their neighborhoods. I know when I was a child, my dad was involved with the rinks at Wilkes Park. Back then, they had 2 rinks. They had one for hockey and one for pleasure skating. The hockey had the full boards around, and everybody was happy because the pleasure skaters weren't competing, trying to skate when people tried to play hockey. It separated them and made everybody happy. So it's amazing the work that gets done by neighborhood associations. I'm surprised that every city doesn't encourage that. But I think some have looked at the model here and said we need to replicate that in our community. So I think it's growing in other cities. I hope it is, because of the amazing work that gets done. So I'll definitely be supporting what's on the floor here, because it's important that we keep the neighborhood associations going and healthy and happy, and hopefully with enough volunteers to carry on. Thank you.
Mayor Davis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have an amendment I'd like to make, but first of all, I'd like to say a few words to Chad, Sylvia, Erica, Amanda, Susan. I mean, thank you for coming out tonight and telling us what you do, because, Madam Chair, I've experienced that through the last 6-7 years. Other than through COVID, made an effort to visit every neighborhood association at least once through the calendar year. And, frankly, it's amazing when you hear all of the good work and the activities that neighborhood associations are involved in, organized, help sponsor it, and, all this through volunteer efforts, volunteers committed and dedicated to their neighborhoods, because the city is nothing more than a collection of neighborhoods. And the stronger all our neighborhoods are, the stronger we are as a city. And so we heard tonight from the delegates exactly what they're doing, and that brought home to you and the viewers what I've experienced over the last several years visiting neighborhood associations. And you know, they do more than run a lot of great programs, whether it's, I think one, it was cello lessons I was hearing at one, to life lessons. It could be gardening, it could be physical recreational activity, it can be skills, it can be leadership skills, you name it. Many of the neighborhood associations are providing it. And I think what a neighborhood association does is it takes a neighborhood from just a collection of homes and places where people work and live, and humanizes it. It makes it a family friendly, welcoming neighborhood when you have a really active neighborhood association. I must say, also supported by some great city staff. And a vision that previous councils had, and we're just simply carrying up that vision. So I want to thank all of you for everything you do. And I got to say, Chad, I mean, I haven't talked to you a lot, but I thought, man, you're the coming superstar of not to denigrate anything else, but can't imagine what's going to happen when we give you a hub. Like, are you going to be able to work, or is it just going to be volunteering all the time? So I really look forward to seeing what the West Brant and Station can do of achieving the neighborhood hub status. I know that will increase the support levels you have. In fact, I feel so strongly about this, and I was just talking to Councilor Caputo about it, that, you know, the amount that receive for the per diem on hockey rinks, critical activity and service that neighborhood associations provide. I think Councilor Caputo, we should move an increase on that 9 to 15. I would move seeking a secondary amendment that we go to $20. Also, because that's what Susan was telling us to do.
Okay, calm down now. We're putting. Is that on the floor? Are we doing that right now?
Yeah,
Okay.
I made an amendment.
Okay, there were some speakers. Okay, so we have an amendment on the floor, that the $9 be moved to $20 instead of the $15, and that's seconded by Councilor Caputo. Any discussion to the amendment? Councilor Sullivan?
In full favor of this. It's been 20 years, 20 long years. I think this is definitely the right way to go.
Councilor Hunt?
Yes, I'm in support of it. In fact, the mayor beat me to it. I was actually going to suggest, and if anybody's ever gone and bought a snow shovel or a snow blower, which I know the Brandland Neighborhood Association does need for the rinks that they have in their neighborhood. I think we're only talking about skatable days, so this is not every day of the winter. This is a much needed increase that goes back into the neighborhood associations to do all of the great work that we've heard about. So full support of the mayor's amendment to the $20 a day.
Thank you. Now, I did have some speakers in the queue to the main motion, so I'm going to slide them over to the amendment if they do want it. Councilor Caputo?
So, thank you, Madam Chair. So am I speaking on the amendment or back
To the amendment only, please.
the amendment only? Okay. And this is my first speaking on.
Do you want to speak to the amendment?
No, I will not.
Leave it. You're gonna
No,
speak?
I will not. I want to.
Okay, I'm gonna leave you in queue for the main motion. Up next, we have Councilor Sullivan, please. Martin, Councilor Martin.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. As was mentioned, this increase only affects skatable days, so unfortunately, with the way the climate's changing, the number of skatable days is reducing, which justifies the increased amount because the neighborhood associations are losing out by not being able to collect on days that aren't skatable. So I think this is, it's fair. It helps accommodate for inflation, and because of the reduced number of days, it's not going to cost us all that much. So I fully support this increase, and I hope that the number of skatable days goes up in the next couple of seasons, but if it doesn't, at least you're getting a higher amount for the days that are skatable.
Thank you. To the amendment, we have Councillor McCreary.
Well, Madam Chair, thank you very much. Well, this seems to be the month in Ontario when we rectify 20 years of lacking increases. And I will say that what we're giving here is going to be very helpful to the neighborhood associations. And we certainly couldn't afford to pay to do what you folks do without taxing people half to death in this city rather than quarter to death. And I would also say that it pales in comparison to the 20-year overdue increases enjoyed by our members of provincial parliament this month.
Just had to go there. Councillor Sleth, I see your hand up. Is that to the amendment or to the main motion still?
I'll speak to both.
Okay, go for it.
Okay,
To the
as far as the amendment, I don't really view this as an expense. It's really an investment. The money is just going from the city into the organizations and coming back out in enhanced programming and enhanced activities that they can do and maybe do more of. So if you compare what it would cost us an hour to produce ice in one of our arenas to the $20 for a day's worth of ice at one of the local parks or at the school, it seems like a bargain. At 20, it would probably seem like a bargain at 50, but at 20, I could certainly support that. I think it, as I said, it's not an expense, it's an investment. So I'm pleased to support it.
And I'll put you back in the queue for the main motion. Councillor Carpenter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We got lucky this year because we had a cold December and it was wonderful because the kids for the Christmas break are out skating on the ice rinks from the hard work of the rink committees. But this, so I'll support this, but I want us to consider some stable funding. As Councillor Martin has said, we're getting warmer winters. We may not have ice in the future, and we need to find a stable, continuous source of funding for neighborhood associations. I want staff to consider that for next year's budget, and we should be thinking about a stable, continuous funding. The rink funding is excellent for all the work, but it's not going to be there long term if we keep getting global warming. So I'd like us to consider some long-term stable funding. Thank you.
And Councillor Samuel has been patiently waiting for her.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So first of all, I wanted to say that I fully support it. It's been a long time coming and the amount of work that goes into the rinks is incredible. And this is just about the skatable days, but there's so much more work that goes into it than that. And I just wanted to just also make a comment just in addition for the folks that are maybe watching at home. The nice thing with the rink program is that if all of the dollars are not used up from the skatable days, those dollars actually go back into other programming through the NAB grants. So it's all going back into the neighborhood association regardless. So it's really great.
Thank you. And seeing no one else to speak to the amendment, I will just ask staff that maybe you attach a memo of whether or not we can, where we're going to find the funding to our council meeting, perhaps. Just don't want to damper the parade, but maybe we should find that out first. So I will call the vote on the amendment, please.
The amendment to item 6.1.6 carries on a recorded vote of 11-0. Those voting in favor, Councillors Sullivan, Sokoli, Sless, Caputo, McCreary, Martin, Carpenter, Hunt, Samuel, Van Tilburg, and Mayor Davis.
Okay, so the motion as amended, I'm going to go back to the speakers that were originally in the queue to speak to the main motion. We do have Councillor Caputo, who's been patiently waiting.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question for staff. Without going through the report again, prior to adding the two hubs, what was each association receiving annually from the city?
Through the chair, Lori Doncaven, Manager of Community Recreation and Events.
Each funded hub association receives $6,750 to invest into their programming, and they must submit application for money with regards to their project meeting the criteria of the hub model. And once that happens, then we release the funds.
And what is all the groups going to be receiving now that we've added to?
Through the chair, after tonight, they will all be receiving the same amount.
So all getting $6,750?
Correct. There was no reduction.
Okay, that's all I wanted to, I thought it was going down and then I wanted to bring it back up, but this is great. We've done this. So I just want to speak to the neighborhood associations, as Councillor Carpenter's brought up. They're the lifeline of our city for any community. And with what we have planned on an agenda as we're starting to move forward as a community with winter events and the summer eats and beats and how both of those are going to grow into a lot longer and a lot better type festivals, it's imperative that we include our neighborhood associations, that they put together various events within their own community while those weeks are there, on top of the already that they're doing. And I'm blessed in Ward 2. I apologize, I haven't been out to any other the associations, but definitely the ones I've been in Ward 2. The amount of effort, work, and dedication they put forth is outstanding. And I couldn't be more proud of a group of individuals and everything they put forth. And I'm glad that tonight's worked out for both West Brant and Grant Station. And we got your money for rinks, and Eats and Beats is going to be in August, so keep your eyes open, folks.
Councillor McCreary, did you still want to go?
I believe I said all I was prepared to say, but I'm always happy to speak at length when invited. Thank you, man.
You got 4 minutes if you want. No? Okay. Moving on to Councillor Sless.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say thanks again to the folks that are really carrying the ball on this. We're simply handing out a few dollars and they're turning that into a wonderful city. And the things that the neighborhood associations do that make our community what it is, we couldn't afford to do it. So all of the things that you see that we talked about this evening, the wheels on the pavement, that goes on and on and on, are done by these folks, and they're volunteers. And they certainly take time, I'm sure, from their work life as well as their family life to make the community that much better. And we're indebted to them. There's no question about it. And we should maybe celebrate them more than once a year at a volunteer appreciation night, because these folks are the lifeline of the city. And again, thank you very much for everything you're doing.
Thank you. Councillor Hunt, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I too want to just echo the words of all of the other councillors here in terms of the value that the neighborhood associations bring to our community. And they really do grow the volunteers that decide to step up and get involved. So to Chad, Erica, Susan, Sylvia, and Armand, thank you for coming. And thank you for all the work you do for our community. I would be remiss if I did not mention the Brandland Neighborhood Association, which is the neighborhood association that I spent. Well, let's put it this way. My 33-year-old son started playing t-ball when he was 5. So 28 years with the Brandland, that I've been associated with the Brandland Neighborhood Association. My predecessor, Councillor Aaron Toski, lifelong friends that I've made throughout the neighborhood associations, and the work that is done by them and the engagement that they are able to do. Just this past Saturday, we were out. It was 11 degrees and windy for any of you that were outside on Saturday. And we had volunteers with their toques on making hot dogs and games for the kids at Family Fun Day up at Brandland School. So these things don't happen without the volunteers. And so those of you that are here, that's a huge thank you to you for the work that you do. And as I said, I'm somebody that got involved with the neighborhood association 28 years ago, ended up being on the executive of the neighborhood association, ended up being the neighborhood association's liaison to NAB, was part of the committee that wrote the original neighborhood association policy, which Lori Don's looking at me and I'm thinking it was in 2012 that we brought that to council, and we were very proud of that. So, 28 years later, I can honestly say that of all of the volunteer work that I've done in our community, the most rewarding is the volunteer work done for the neighborhood association. So thank you to all of you for all you've done.
Thank you. Councillor Samwell.
Thank you. And through you, Madam Chair, just one final comment for tonight. The neighborhoods know what the neighborhoods need. And I can't wait to look forward to seeing how you guys are going to lead forward and the incredible impact you're going to make and welcoming the new hub neighborhoods. I'm so excited and I wholeheartedly support this tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Davis.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to talk to neighborhoods. And we've talked tonight about how we here tonight can here at City Council and the City Administration, how we can support neighborhood associations. But I think there's also an important conversation that has to take place, and that is how neighborhoods need to support their neighborhood associations. And having been to more than one AGM, neighborhood association AGM, the challenge that some neighborhood associations have in finding volunteers willing to serve. It's a challenge, and we can see that all across our society today, that the number of volunteers, people are willing to volunteer, is not quite the same as it was in decades past. But your neighborhood association is only as strong as the people that actually volunteer and work in the association. And so I can tell you this, having a lifetime of volunteering myself, that Erica was quite right when Erica said, "Why do you do this?" And it's interesting, when you really get into a project, you tend to get passionate about it. And before you know it, you're spending a lot of time on it. But when you step back, you look at it and say, I am receiving the benefit to me, through how I feel about myself and my neighborhood is far greater than kind of the value, what it is I'm putting in. You get more what you receive as a volunteer than what you actually put into it. And so I encourage citizens throughout the community that if you're interested in your neighborhood, making your neighborhood stronger, join your neighborhood association. And you don't have to start out being the president. You can start out small, and before you know it, they'll be recruiting you for something more, but only because you really enjoy it. And beyond that, I would also say that the value of being involved in a neighborhood association, it's more than just making your neighborhood better. As I said, there's the return to you psychologically and but you also expand your social network, your friends, your acquaintances in your neighborhood. So you'll feel like you're more a part of your neighborhood, and you get that really good feeling that you get when you do something good for your neighborhood and your community. So I make an appeal to people in the community: support your neighborhood associations by volunteering and helping out those people that are, carrying a lot of the burden that many of whom we've seen tonight. So that's my appeal to the community.
Councillor McCreary.
Madam Chair, thank you. There were a couple of things I did want to add to what I said earlier. First of all, I want to stress that citizen-led initiatives in our community are very important. The work you do is important. I want to also stress the fact that, it was alluded to by an earlier speaker, that you folks are where community leadership seeds get planted. And this is where a harvest happens. So you've heard allusions tonight to some folks who've come to this council by way of neighborhood associations. There are two of them over there. And I would point out also that Councillor Atoski came from neighborhood association, and so did Councillor Weaver. So I don't think it's a stretch for you folks to begin to look at these chairs as a place where you can eventually land. Yes, nudge him nudge him again. I don't think he got the message. And there, you know, everybody in this room, I think, exhibits the kind of leadership that can supersede us when our day comes. The other lesson I hope you'll take from tonight is what happened just before now, where we had a group of young citizens who had an idea and came here and made that dream happen. And there was an allusion earlier tonight to some ideas maybe that would be good for the neighborhood associations. Just think big about what you would like to happen. Think of what other things the municipality can do for you to deliver your programs and your messaging to your neighborhoods, and just ask. Just ask. Think big. Again, thanks for tonight. I'm glad we're able to support you with the ad hoc amendment to the rink fees, which is most deserved, and to promote the community associations to have status and gain a few extra dollars to help you pay to do all the good stuff that you do in the community. Thank you.
And Councillor Carpenter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to start off by saying thank you to Lori Dawn and to our staff from Parks and Rec that support our neighborhood associations. We have some terrific neighborhood association staff that work with our neighborhood associations to make sure things get done, that problems get solved. It takes that, and you have that passion, and your staff have that same passion, and you can see it. You know, they show up at meetings, neighborhood association meetings, sometimes around 8 or 9 o'clock at night. They're there on the weekends making things happen. So it's to our staff. So continue to support the staff from the senior management on down. Support the staff and what they do to support our neighborhood associations. And the only other thing I need to add to that is that that hasn't already been talked about is let's make sure that our neighborhood associations have a home. They have a place to organize from. So it can't always be their kitchen table. Sometimes it needs to have a meeting place. Sometimes it needs to be a part of a school, but some place that's in the neighborhood that people know that's where the neighborhood association meets. That's where their office is. That's where you can connect with them. Let's make sure we have those connectivity places in all of our neighborhood associations, big and small, so that they can operate going forward. Again, thanks to staff, thanks to the neighborhood association, but let's make sure that we just don't give them rink money. Let's give them the other supports that are needed to them. When Dawn says to us, we need this, let's make sure it happens, because she knows, talking to them and her staff, exactly through the neighborhood association and the hubs, exactly what's required. And I want to thank her and the Parks and Rec department for what they do to make sure this happens with the neighborhood associations collaborative. Thank you. Thank you all.
All right, seeing no further speakers, I'm kind of last to speak here, but mostly everything's been said, to be honest, at this point. But when you hear that phrase, it takes a village, it really does. And you guys here are the village. So I don't think anyone sitting up here is delusioned into how much work you guys are putting in. I think we know that. And I don't know if Megan has been shout out yet, but Megan's here and she's everywhere. She is everywhere, always out there with the neighborhood association. So thank you for everything that you do as well. And so just thank you to everyone here. There's not too much more to add, but I look forward to supporting this, and I'm glad that we could pass this amendment and give you some surprise money. That's always fun. So seeing that, we'll call the vote.
Item 6.1.6 carries unanimously on a recorded vote of 11-0. Those voting in favor, Councillors Sullivan, Sokoli, Sless, Caputo, McCreary, Martin, Carpenter, Hunt, Samwell, Van Tilburg, and Mayor Davis.
Very good. Now we'll move into our regularly scheduled programming with item 6.1.1. Councillor Carpenter, you asked for this to be separated.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's a good time for you to sneak out if you want to sneak out. Unless you're thoroughly interested in these topics, but that's great. So I went through this report, 585 pages. This was a large body of work by staff, 18 plans and more. And I noticed that, the changing the process, how work orders are tracked, a lot of issues here. So I just only have one real question after going through it. It was a lot to absorb. How are we going to fund this going forward? That's the question. That is the $6 million question. How are we going to fund? Well, actually, maybe it's this $178 million question. How are we going to fund this going forward? And and on top of what used to be the provincial government had funds for us till Mike Harris came along and said the Who Does What panel. They changed all that. They didn't get that funding anymore. And now we're talking about development charges funding being taken away from us. Well, how are we going to fund this with all the money being tracked back from us to keep our assets up to shape?
Through the chair to you, Councillor Carpenter, Jennifer Elliott, Director of Engineering Services. That is a very good question. This year's asset management plan is showing quite a large funding gap to meet current level of standards and our proposed level of standards. We will be coming back with just before the next multi-year budget cycle with a funding strategy. It will be complex and multifaceted. We're anticipating that it will include reinstatement or reestablishing the capital levy that was in place many years ago, as well as steadily increasing our annual contributions to the capital funding envelopes. That would be through updates of our master servicing plans, which will feed into updates of our development charge study, which will feed into updates of our water wastewater rate study. So that brings in the new current prices of construction and all of our upgrades that are desperately needed. We're also going to recommend pursuing some additional grant opportunities or lobbying provincial federal government for additional funding for assistance as we are falling further and further behind.
And this process is a requirement of the provincial government by legislation that we do this. After they took our money, then they said, now you need to do an asset management plan to show us how you're going to pay for it or the taxpayer is going to pay for it. Okay, so on our new facilities, we've built a number of new facilities this year alone. Our new facilities, we include in our new facilities full cost accounting. So what it costs to build the asset and then managing and maintaining the replacement of that asset, is that built into the ongoing operating of that particular asset?
Through the chair to you, Councillor Carpenter, yes, we do. In our operating budgets, we do identify to the best of our ability through our actual operating departments instead of simply engineering, where we do identify the staffing needs and the additional costs that would come with those new assets.
Okay, and finally, thank you to all the staff that, especially those that took the leadership role in doing the asset management plans for their particular area. It was a tremendous amount of work, and it doesn't go unnoticed the amount of work that was done there. I just want to appreciate all staff for all those departments that did all that work and the staff within them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing no further speakers, we'll call the vote on this.
Item 6.1 carries on a recorded vote of 11-0. Those voting in favor, Councillor Sullivan, Sokoli, Sless, Caputo, McCreary, Martin, Carpenter, Hunt, Samwell, Van Tilburg, and Mayor Davis.
Item 6.1.3, Councillor Carpenter, you asked for this to be separated.
Thank you to staff. This is going to involve some ticketing of those that don't get their garbage collection straight. Is that how I understand this, or?
Through your chair, Sylvie Convera, Acting Commissioner, Public Works. Councillor, we are going to go through education process first. And then after we'll get into the ticketing as a last resort. There are many steps we go through before going to the ticketing.
So if an individual is making a mistake, with how they're placing their garbage out, putting it out too early, leaving it out late, putting the wrong things out, there's going to be time to provide them with ample opportunity, like, strike one, strike two before there's a ticket kind of thing.
Absolutely, yes.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Councillor Van Tilburg first.
Question for Selvie. How are we handling the process now, to the point where we would end up with a fine on an individual? What was the past practice?
Through you, Madam Chair. Right now, we just send letters, talk to them, reach out to multiple, the tenants, owners. But it works for most of them, but there is a small portion of the residents and businesses, it doesn't work. That's why we're asking, or we are putting the ticketing, using the ticketing option.
Would a failure have moved up to bylaw in some way in the past?
Through you, Madam Chair, that's right, Councillor. We forwarded to our bylaw group, but then when we forward to bylaw group, the enforcement process starts back to, the timeline is reset. So they start at day 0, and then they start to again do inspections, talk to them, give them more time to comply, and then take their steps. The overall between our solid waste department and the bylaw, it just takes quite a lot of time to actually see any results. In the meantime, the garbage is just sitting on the street. Sometimes they have organic material causing odor and other issues. And that's the reason the ticketing would be a great benefit.
And who exactly implements the ticket, and who is the end receiver of the ticket? Is that the landlord or the tenants?
Through you, Madam Chair, that is something we have to look at who caused the offense. Either the tenant or the landlord. We have to work through both of them to figure out and see what we can do.
All right. And so who's going to resolve the disputes? Well, I mean, I think probably many councils have had the situation where other people's garbage has somehow ended up on a neighbor's property. And then there's always who's responsible at the end of the day for that. Because in the past, it's been the tenant or resident that ends up with the garbage on their property ends up with holding the bag, literally.
Through the chair, Derek Walker, manager of solid waste and gas utilization. Our staff it's again, education and dealing with those. We deal with thousands of these each year. So our staff has the knowledge to kind of work through the steps. That's not an uncommon occurrence. And again, this ticketing will be a last resort. This is just for the one we have. We've gone through it. We know we find that we have an individual was not following the bylaw. That's the only time we'll move forward with the finding. So material that is thrown out, our staff are still there to clean up in those instances. This is for those repeat offenders.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Sullivan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to staff, Selvie's probably the best to answer this. Is this the beginning of something that's going to be morphing eventually into diversion as well, where we're going to be basically putting it on the table that residents are expected to recycle, they're expected to utilize the organics program so we can save the longevity of our landfill as well?
Through you, Madam Chair, Councillor, that is something we are looking at part of our solid waste management master plan. Again, most of the time, the solid waste program, the way it works is education and outreach, and compliance or using a stick is not always the step that works. So we use carrot and sticks together and see which one works. So we are exploring enforcement options for the solid waste management master plan if we want to achieve much higher diversion rates for our waste.
Perfect. Thank you for the clarification.
Councillor Sless.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sylvia, as I understand it, we're not really changing anything other than who administers it. It would go to bylaw previously, and your folks have now had the training, and they will be doing the enforcing or the handling of the situations. Did I understand it correctly?
In a simple way, that's correct, Councillor. Our bylaw does use a little bit of a different process, but we are using a ticketing option. So it's a kind of a similar process, I would say.
Okay, but there's no dramatic change in what we do.
It's, we are hoping this will be quicker, Councillor,
Right.
through Madam Chair. So we hope this process will bring quick results.
Right. Thank you very much.
Councillor McCreary.
Sure, thank you, and through to staff. I do agree. I think this is going to be an improvement to the process. I wonder if staff could indicate for our education the process that will arise. So will these be, for instance, will we be having solid waste staff enforce this based upon reports made by the garbage contractor, by members of the public, all of the above? Could you sort of help us out in terms of how that'll land on your desks?
Through you, Madam Chair, it should be all of the above, but at the end of the day, it is our staff, solid waste staff, who needs to, whether it comes from public or contractor, need to make sure it is the right offense, and that is a ticketable offense according to our bylaw, and the proper process is followed before issuing a ticket.
So are the contractors now required to contact us with respect to infractions?
Through you, Madam Chair, that's correct, Councilor.
Okay, super. Now, we talk about education. For a lot of folks, for instance, when they put out bulk garbage without having called in advance, a lot of these folks have come from away and located here. And that's going to be a continuing cycle. What do we have yet, or do we plan to have a program with respect to educating folks about what you can and can't do?
Through you, Madam Chair, that's correct. We are kind of changing our program depending on complaints and non-compliances. So we are definitely strengthening our education program.
Okay, and when does this change in process begin and take effect?
Through you, Madam Chair, the ticketing has been already approved by the province, so it will take effect after our council meeting.
Super, thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you.
Seeing no further speakers, we'll call the vote.
Item 6.1.3 carries on a recorded vote of 10-1. Those voting in favor are Councillor Sullivan, Sokoli, Sless, Caputo, McCreary, Martin, Hunt, Damwell, and Van Tilburg, and Mayor Davis. Those opposed, Councillor Carpenter.
All right. Like deja vu, item 6.1.4, Councillor Carpenter, you've asked for this to be separated.
Yes, could staff explain how this fine will be handed out and how it will be collected?
Through you, Madam Chair, the process, how this works is if we manually collect and the fee will be added to their water bill and it'll be collected through the water billing process.
Seeing no, Councillor Martin sliding in at the last minute.
Well, you have to look this way to see if anybody has their hand up. Thank you, Madam Chairman. Was it considered to read the meters every other month and charge the full 120 instead of the reduced amount?
Through you, Madam Chair, we did look into that, Councillor. But the longer we take in reading the meters, even in our current and past experience, there are first, much higher consumption happens. If there is any leak, we wouldn't detect it. And so council actually made a decision to change from bi-monthly or once every 2 months was the meter reading we had before, and we changed to monthly reading. So wasting of water through the leaks, and sometimes it's hard to collect the money because the dollar accumulates and then the residents have a hard time, or any change of ownership or movement of the tenants happen. So it is a common practice to do monthly.
Okay, and we're recovering less than half the cost with the $50 fee, is that correct? Because it should be 120.
Through you, Madam Chair. So our process is right now, it starts with $50 per trip to read. But then we hope that the residents, if they continuously stay on, what we heard from other municipalities is once the fees is implemented, many residents will switch and install the transmitter. But if there is anyone still stays on, the city will increase the fee to the actual cost in the next few years. So if they stay on, they'll end up paying the actual cost of reading the meters.
Okay, thank you for that. I was glad to hear that the fee will go up to cover the cost, because I was going to move an amendment to do that this year. But if that's going to happen over a couple of years, I can live with that. Thank you.
Councillor Van Tilburg.
Yes, my question is, how many more homes do we really have to do? Is this a projection, or is this how many, it was what I'm reading was actually done? Because when I was checking the calendar, I saw that they had dates going into September.
Through you, Madam Chair, we have around 38,000 homes, but we only have like 2,000 still left to install these transmitters. What I mean to say is, majority of the properties, we've already addressed them through meter installation or transmitter installation. We're in the last leg of this project, and we are seeing 105 so far. And if there are any few more added, they'll fall in the same program approved by council.
So with 2,000 homes left to do, you're presuming that the numbers will stay relatively close, similar to the 100, or is there a potential that there could be maybe 400 of those people are actually no's and just haven't booked yet?
Through you, Madam Chair, if we go with the history, we've 7 phases, we've complete 6 phases. And in those 6 phases, 0.3% is what the number of hard refusals, we call it, where they feel some kind of a health impact from the transmitter and the radio frequency waves. So we expect even in the next phase, the same 0.3%. But again, I cannot say for sure, but based on our experience, we're thinking will be kind of along the same lines.
Okay. I just know that some of the areas, some of the landlords are probably very hard to get a hold of. And I know that you have problems with some of the meters that were tied into multi-unit residential places, but access was an issue. So has that held back some of our meter changes to this date, or did we get over those humps?
Through you, Madam Chair, very few, we still have issues, but we have been resolving them because the city, our contractor sends 5 communications, and then the city does 3, total 8 communication ways, including door tags and calls and letters. So different ways we keep hitting the addresses. So that's been very helpful, but there are always a few still left, and we'll be wrapping them all this year.
Okay. Is it possible to get a report by the end of the year to see who is outstanding? How many are outstanding, I should say, not who, but how many remain outstanding?
Absolutely, we can give you that.
Thank you very much.
Councillor McCreary.
Chair, thank you. Through you, staff. So there are about 75 people in our community who are fundamentally opposed on ideology and perceived health risks to having these things in their homes. Is that correct?
Through you, Madam Chair, that's correct, Councillor.
Okay. And the costs that we are looking at in this report, are they costs incurred by municipal staff or are these contractor costs?
It is mostly municipal staff. We have to look at the meter reading contract, how it ends up. There is a portion of it is meter reading contractor cost.
Is there an opportunity simply to bill these folks for a set amount every month based on a very heavy usage rather than, well, it looks to be from the point of view of one of the 75, just looks to be punitive. And I recognize that that's only in the eye of those beholders, but $50 a month times 12, that's a lot of money. It's probably more than they'd use water. Is there an alternative option that we could consider? Just an annual fee for water, perhaps?
Through you, Madam Chair, the angle we look at anytime we come up with a fee is if we reduce the fee, we are subsidizing them by taking the money from other ratepayers who are following what the city requested. So realistically, that is the reason why we don't want to subsidize for too long. We found out, like we said, from other municipalities, we reach even, we hope those 75 install a transmitter soon. If not, we have to recover our actual cost. Otherwise, we are taking the money from other ratepayers.
What would be the average residential water bill per month?
Through you, Madam Chair, water bill is on average around $49 or $50 per month is for the water. Wastewater on top of it around $40, $43, something like that. So the total water, wastewater together will be on average close to $100.
Okay, so this would be a significant increase to somebody that's fundamentally opposed. I wonder if you could just simply give some thought to a flat annual rate that these folks could pay, all inclusive of water and meter costs. And perhaps if you could have that number ready for us when we meet as a council.
Thank you, Madam.
Thank
Through
you.
Madam Chair.
And looking both ways before I call the vote. Seeing no further speakers, we'll call the vote.
Item 6.1.4 carries on a recorded vote of 9-2. Those voting in favor, Mayor Davis, Councillor Sullivan, Sokoli, Sless, Caputo, McCreary, Martin, Hunt, and Van Tilburg. Those opposed, Councillor Carpenter and Councillor Samwell.
Next, we have item 6.2.1. Mayor Davis, you asked for this to be separated.
Yes, I did, and thank you, Madam Chair. It has to do with the annual update on our the quality management of our drinking water system, which I have said repeatedly is the most essential and important of services we provide our community. Walkerton is a classic example of what happens when you don't do what needs to be done and do it properly. And certainly our water treatment system, and in particular the staff that work in our water treatment system or water distribution system, often overlooked, big part of our system, and also wastewater treatment system. I think they do a spectacular job and often have us winning gold medals and acknowledgements of the good job we do. So looking at this, Salvi, I got a couple questions for you. About this time last year, there was pretty much a complete disaster in Calgary. There was a main in the northwest part of the city. One of their very large trunk water mains collapsed in a couple of different locations. And it was a pipe system that had been installed, I think it was only in the 1950s. So that it really, compared to some of our system, that was not that old. Do we have any of the same type of concrete pipe in our city? Have we done an audit of the potential vulnerability of our main trunks?
Through you, Madam Chair, of course, Mayor, we have done the audit. And what we looked at is for how many of these pipes, we have looped system, which means if there is a break happens in one location, we could service from a different direction. So we found only 2 locations, and both of them are within the water treatment plant where there is no redundancy. But although those 2 locations, we have a plan to put the redundancy in place in our capital project. So we've done the evaluation.
Right, the problem in Calgary was they didn't have redundancy for that main trunk that collapsed. Now that particular pipe, I think it was installed in the 50s. It was a type of concrete type pipe that was commonly used in the 1950s. Do we have any of those? Do we have the same type of water main pipes in our city?
The pipes installed in that era, they were made of that material or that style. So we are expecting any pipes made in that around that time frame going to have that risk. And that's why, when we looked at our analysis, we did, where is the backup, which direction it's coming, and what is the size, how would we repair? So all those the things were part of our evaluation.
Right. So I guess you're telling us we do have some of that pipe.
That's correct.
All right. And what are we doing to monitor the condition of those pipes and to make sure that they aren't deteriorating, which I think was a problem in Calgary. They had deteriorated much faster than what was originally expected.
Through you, Madam Chair. So we do have a monitoring program in place. Most of the way we look at is the pressure, some of the less costly options. There are expensive options exist to physically actually scan the pipes and look at the metal thickness content and everything. So we have all those options built into our capital program. So that's what we'll do in terms of monitoring.
And my last question for you is, I know some cities that have older water systems like ours, they have quite a high leakage rate, water that just like leaks out of the system and doesn't get to the ultimate users. How would you rate our system? Because every system has leakage, but what is the extent of our leakage and how does that compare to other cities?
Through you, Madam Chair, our system is, I would say, if I say leak wise, we don't have a lot of leak, but we do have a leak, which is commonly anticipated for any water system. When we compare with the average leak standard, I should say, we are kind of falling in the average condition. So we are starting a leak detection program before it gets worse, and monitoring the areas, where we are leaking. And that's a program we are kind of improving on every year. And if you ask us where we are, we would say we are in the average category.
Lastly,
You've well exceeded that. I'm gonna go to Counselor Carpenter. Would you like me to put you down for a second?
yes.
Okay, Counselor Carpenter.
Thank you. This is where I got my political career started on with Ontario Municipal Water Association. Sylvie, so it's remarkable in our community. People don't realize the amount of work that goes in. You just turn your tap on, you got potable water that's safe to drink in our community. It takes a lot of work in our community. So do we have any dead end mains? Have they been all taken care of? We used to have some dead end mains, and do we have any of those left?
Through you, Madam Chair, yes, Councillor, we do have them. We do eliminate them whenever we get a chance, but as construction happens, as you know, part of the subdivision built and the rest of the subdivision left to be constructed, we create dead ends through these construction processes, but as the construction happens, the dead end goes away. But at any time, we do have the dead ends, and we have our routine flushing program to keep the dead end water flushed out and maintain the quality of the water.
So And so even when we're flushing the fire hydrants out, there's two reasons why we do that, right? We flush the fire hydrants so the fire department knows that they're working, and so that we don't end up with that. That is somewhat of a dead end main itself. Then that's why we flush them out on an annualized basis to make sure that they're clean.
Through you, Madam Chair, that's correct, Councilor.
And one more, Sylvia. We used to have some wooden water pipes. Do we still have any of those left, or we got rid of all those?
Through you, Madam Chair, thank God we got rid of all of those.
Well, we did have them. Thank you. Thank you and your department for the great work you do on our water and our sewer system. Like you make it safe and you give us a high level of confidence as members of council. In fact, one of our jobs is to make sure we're responsible for that we ask those questions. So thank you very much for everything you do in your department.
Thank you, Councillor. We have great staff.
And seeing no other first-time speakers, we'll go to Mayor Davis.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for allowing me to have one more comment. I talked previously about the great staff we have, and Sylvia, in fact, just mentioned that, and Councillor Carpenter also seconded that notion, which we know to be true. But you know what is I've spent a lot of time in our water treatment plant, our wastewater treatment plant, part of it due to nitrates lately. And I've got to know the staff pretty well. And you know what I hear consistently when I go through the system? What a great job Selby does in managing this department. They speak very highly of her. We got a great set of managers in the city, but I simply wanted to comment on that, given the report is here. And Selby, yes, your staff do a great job. So do you. And thank you very much for your service to the city.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And we have Jim Young here, Andrew Rodriguez here from Water, and Dwayne and Lindsay are online, and Amy as well. We thank everybody.
Seeing no further speakers, we'll call the vote on this.
Item 6.2.1 carries unanimously on a recorded vote of 11-0. Those voting in favor, Mayor Davis, Councillor Sullivan, Sokoli, Celeste, Caputo, McCrary, Martin, Carpenter, Hunt, Samwell, and Tilbord.
And the fun continues here in council chambers as we move forward to resolutions. Item 7.2, Brantford Transit. Councillor Caputo, I understand that you want to bring forward a motion to waive the rules to introduce a resolution without prior notice. The floor is yours. Make sure you state your seconder.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Sluss. That's section 1511.5 of the procedural bylaw be waived to introduce a notice of motion as a resolution without prior notice. Do I read the whole thing? Do I read the entire motion, or does this have to go in before that?
No, sorry, so you have to read at this point, I'll rule that you don't have to read the motion itself. I think we've got it in front of us unless is there a member of the, we can pay attention, please. Thank you. To my right over here. Is there anybody that wants the motion read in its entirety? I think okay, go ahead and read it.
Whereas Brantford Transit encourages the removal of barriers for seniors to have a safe, reliable transit service to access many community services and activities. And whereas the city promotes and encourages the healthy aging plan and encourages our seniors to use public transportation to participate in community events, and whereas the city of Brantford currently sponsors free transit for all youth 12 years of age and younger to introduce public transit as a long-term commitment to utilizing public transit as part of everyday life. And whereas the city of Brantford understands seniors may have limited transportation options and encouraging public transit as a viable alternative to automobile use, and whereas every June the city of Brantford joins cities across Ontario to celebrate Seniors Month with additional programming and recreational activities for older adults 50 plus. Now therefore be it resolved that the staff be directed to offer a seniors ride free between 9 a.m. and 7 p.m. Sunday through Saturday on Brantford Transit conventional services who are 50 plus for the month of August 2025. And B, that staff be provided a breakdown of revenue ridership impacts on both conventional and specialized transit. including revenue impacts associated with program at the October Cow operations meeting. And see that in recognition of Seniors Month in June 2026, staff be directed to provide a free transit ridership between 9 a.m. and 7 p.m. Sunday through Saturday on Brantford Transit conventional services who are 50 plus for the month of June 2026. Now, can I speak to this before we go on, or do we vote on whether the rules be waived?
You can speak to the waiving of the rules, but not the motion.
So I'd like to get support on this because with Seniors Month being in June, this was something I wanted to bring forward and I didn't do it in the past. And I want to be able to bring it in for August since we are not going to have a July council. And it marries up with August with both the mayor's event that's going to happen at Mohawk as well as Beats and Eats. It allows seniors for the month of August to be able to get to these events. I'm hoping that I get support on this before we move forward.
Seeing no one to comment to the waiving of the rule. Oh, Mayor Davis.
Yeah, just want a clarification, that mayor's event, that's the mayor's family fun day that'll be in Mohawk Park. Just want to clarify.
And this has to do with waiving of the
Well,
rules.
it's a clarification of what he said.
Okay, let's go.
But I wanted to ask this, where does this, what's the intent? Is we're gonna deal with this at Cow next week or does?
We're gonna deal with this tonight if the waiving of the rules passes.
Okay. All right, okay.
All right, we'll call the vote on the waiving of the rules, and I believe this needs a 2/3.
The motion to waive the rules carries on a recorded vote of 8-3. Those voting in favor, Mayor Davis, Councillor Sullivan, Sokoli, Sless, Caputo, McCreary, Famwell, and Van Tilburg. Those opposed, Councillor Martin, Carpenter, and Hunt.
Okay, so I won't make you read the whole thing again, but if you want to read the title, state your seconder, and then we can get this on the floor for discussion.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Sless. Brantford Transit Seniors Ride for Free.
Did you want to speak to it?
Absolutely.
The floor is yours.
We've had numerous conversations about seniors, but different, everybody within our society. And I think seniors are one of those areas and those individuals that I take dear to my heart because they've been lifelong members of a community. And at the same time, some might be in different financial straits, but at the same time, some basically just want to be able to get in and around the city, whether it be just to actually see it. And I think that it's something that they've earned, and it's something that I've certainly been near and dear to my heart, and I hope that everyone sees it that way as well. And I think this is a start. I think I've said it the last time we had this brought up, and I think that at some point in the next 10 years, our senior population is really going to get up there. And I think it's time we start looking and addressing other avenues of opportunities for our seniors. And I think this is just a start. And I hope that that everyone sees it that way. And then this passes tonight. Thanks.
Mayor Davis.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. As you know, I've been a proponent against motion ad hocery when we have resolutions that are coming to us with very, well, frankly, no notice at all. And we don't have the input from the staff as to the parameters, the cost parameters, how difficult this may or may not be to actually do. And that's not saying that I'm not speaking to the intent of the motion and what the objective is. Just we're being asked to make a decision in the absence of the information we usually receive. I appreciate, however, there's a timeline here that Councilor Caputo has in mind. And I move a motion to defer this to next Tuesday's cow. So there'll be two, full opportunities, both the cow and council. We can have some input from staff and also maybe some public reaction over the next week as to what the public thinks of this. So I'm putting that on the floor, looking for a second.
Councilor Martin, I think you were seconding that, or? Yeah, okay. So we have a deferral on the floor to next week's COW meeting. Speaking to the deferral,
Speaking to the point of order that everyone should have had an opportunity to speak before receiving.
no, a deferral is in order as it comes forward, so I'm calling that in order. If anyone would like to speak to the deferral, Councillor Caputo.
I don't have an issue with that, but if it comes up next week at planning, would there be a concern with staff that would have to be either online or in the room to be able to answer questions based on the findings? I've had conversations with Mr. Spicer on this.
Sorry,
prior to
Councillor
bringing this
Caputo,
forward.
deferral, when we're speaking to a deferral, is speaking to the time and place only.
Well, I think it'd be difficult to have a time and place if we're not gonna have staff here next week.
Perhaps our CAO can just reassure us.
Through the chair, we'll have staff next week.
Thank you.
Then I'm good.
We'll call the vote on the deferral, please.
The motion to defer is carried on a recorded vote of 8-3. Those voting in favor, Mayor Davis, Councillor Sokoli, Sless, Martin, Carpenter, Hunt, Samwell, and Van Tilburg. Those opposed, Councillor Sullivan, Caputo, and McCreary.
All right, we have no notices of motion. Congratulations, you have made it to the adjournment.